2018, eh? Eh? Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. We're back. It's me, David Turner, and I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
I'm also here with James Farley.
Hello.
And I'm also here with John Denton.
What the hell is happening?
What the hell is happening? I mean, I'd given up hope. It's been a long journey to try and find a replacement for Sean while he's away. The moment he announced that he was leaving, I got on the blower to John and said, look, come on, we want you. It's time to step in his seat. It's time for you to step up to the big leagues. And he said, oh, no, I'll think about it. And I was like, all right, that's not the reaction I was expecting. A bit weird. Then later on in the year, I said, look, are you coming on or what? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, that's definitely not the reaction I was expecting. And then he come on the show and fell asleep and said, I never want to be on the show again. So I was like, okay, well, that's...
There is a lot of fake news in this. I mean,
this is all true.
Some of this is embellishments on things that did happen.
And then the turn of the new year, I go, oh, mate, can I be on it now? So come on, explain. Why have you come crawling back?
All right. A lot of that is true. When you first said it, I mean, originally I didn't know if I had the kind of temerity to do a weekly podcast again after doing it for so long. And it was just, I think, when you announced that Sean was leaving, or when we found out, or when you found out, or whatever it was in the middle of like my summer, which is crazy. I've got like 9 birthdays, all this sort of stuff. Anyway, timings. And then the next time we looked at it, it was just, I was just dying with busyness. And you're right, I did fall asleep on the podcast. I didn't just say no like that. I'm not that rude. But I did fall asleep on a podcast, which was extremely embarrassing. But then I did another episode and I really enjoyed it. So
it was awful, that episode. It was missing something.
There was something about it though. It just felt a little bit different. I don't know what it was. There's some sort of magic, I think. I think there's some sort of magic, a real chemistry to it. So I really enjoyed that one. And then obviously you had the Game of the Year show, which is a belter. And the whole time I was listening to it, I was just like, man, I just kind of wish I was on this show. I really do. And I to be honest, I was like, I can't really go back and ask Dave now and say, you know, can I jump in?
Did you really think that, like, genuinely?
Yeah, I was like, I've said no too many times. And then I went, oh, fucking shut up, John. Just ask. You want to do it? Just ask. So I did. And then here we are. So yeah, I'm pumped and excited for 2018.
See, that's weird to hear because you've known me for a long time now, and you know that I wouldn't have thought, like, there would have been no, John, you've missed the boat. You missed the money train, mate. Like,
also, no, I just thought I'd get some grief. But, you know.
You definitely get grief.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Speaking of the Game of the Year show, John, what did you think of the outcome? Did you agree with it? Was there anything along the way that you thought was flat out wrong?
No, nothing that I thought was flat out wrong. Very, very enjoyable show. Obviously, the big swerve, the Colombo incident was probably the highlight. And, you know, there was a kind of inevitability about the end, but I think what that allowed you guys to do was to really sort of go into those two games, in Mario and Zelda. And it was just really enjoyable to hear you kind of analyze the games, but also talk about how they've affected you in your real lives and stuff like that. So that was great. But
did you agree, like, would you have voted Mario or Zelda?
I'd have voted Zelda. Mario really? Has my moments of the year, but overall, yeah, I would have voted Zelda.
So what moments of the year? What was up there for you?
The end of New Donk City, the main ones, the big, not you, the main one, you know, the main ones in Mario Odyssey, the two big ones. Basically, the last 20 minutes of the game. I haven't got to the darker side of the moon yet, so I don't know what happens then. But the last 20 minutes of the, you know, main campaign before credits and the end of New Donk City, like the two of the most standout moments we've ever had in gaming. But going back through and finding other moons, there has been periods in Mario Odyssey, and I don't want to go into too much, where it hasn't hit anywhere near that level again for me. So Zelda overall, just sort of an enthralling 70 plus hours for me. So that would have won. And I did the list for Eurogamer's Game of the Year. I was one of the people that entered my list, and that was number 1, with Mario at number 2.
Nice. All right. Okay. James, I finished editing your Beyond Two Souls stream over the break.
Yeah.
And I picked up on something that I wanted to talk to you about, because there's a few things that I wanted to talk to you about.
I don't want to talk about that stream anymore.
Well, no, right, okay. I know, right, fair enough, right. But I've got to ask you something. So there's a scene in Beyond Two Souls towards the end where you go and meet your mother, and she is effectively brain dead. Is that right?
No, well, no. It's okay. Again, it's not really made clear what her status is, apart from she's non-communicable. But that doesn't mean that she's brain dead.
Right, and you get given the option of turning a life support machine
God,
off.
I know where
Yeah.
this is going.
Right, so you were going, I'm not doing a David Turner's. I'm not going to kill her and do a David Turner's. I want to I just want to, because I saw that. I only saw it when I was editing it. And I'm going, why is he calling that a David Turner's? So can you explain that, please? Because you've publicly, put me in a bad light there, and I just want to hear your explanation.
Because you absolutely love doing that. You love always
What-
taking
in
the
what
option of doing that. I mean, we had
Give
the
me-
Gears.
give me an
we had-
example.
Okay, we had the Gears of War conversation many, many times, and she was even alive, moving around and stuff. And you were like, "Let's do her in." And in this case, she was like, "This woman is sitting in a chair and she's not moving." I thought, that's even more likelihood you're going to try and finish her off.
Okay, so can I offer a rebuttal? The first being, that wasn't a moral choice in Gears of War. I don't know if you noticed that. There wasn't a choice to just let her, carry on. Marcus already had his gun in his hand, mate. That was
I
done.
know,
He'd
you were
made
pretty
that
pleased
decision
about
for
that.
you.
But go on.
Secondly, didn't you, in Life is Strange, episode 5,
Yeah.
didn't you turn the life support machine off there?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. I'm
No.
pretty sure you did.
I didn't.
You didn't.
No.
All I'm saying is that I think that's more of a James decision than
Are
it
you
is
joking?
a Turner's
We've had
decision.
massive discussions and David, we had a massive argument in a restaurant in front of a number of in front of the public, debating
A
euthanasia.
live show, was it?
And it was terrible, and people looked at us, and it was awful. And
You gave a gun to a dad to kill their own son, James.
there was reasons for that. We've already been over. I mean, look,
Yeah, but if there was reasons for that, why didn't you do it when you replayed it?
because it played out differently when I played it the second time. That's how these
Yeah,
games
sure.
work, David.
Of course it did. Of course it did. All of a sudden, Kenny was your best mate.
He was. He
Bollocks.
was much nicer the second time round.
Okay, all right, Matt, let's get to the feedback. Sorry, that's been eating away at me because I was like, fucking James is just as bad as I am, if not worse. His logical decisions in these moral choice games are insane. What was your final decision in Life is Strange? Wasn't it burn the whole town down?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
in that
okay,
case,
fine,
I did.
yeah, burn
I did
the
do
whole
it.
town down.
No, because there was reasons for that as well. Because I was sick of being told what to do in that game. So I was like,
Listen to that. Listen to that. Hundreds of people died, John. And he's
Mate,
like,
it's
because he
for
was sick
someone
of
who's
being
not
told
played
what to
that
do.
game and doesn't know the story. That's quite an intense sentence,
Yeah, I
James just
know.
said.
I know. The choice was either let your friend die or let the whole town die.
Yeah, well, I wasn't
and he
gonna let
just
her
let
die
the
this
whole town
time,
die
'cause this-
because
you
he
know-
didn't like being told what to do.
I
John,
know. So
you're not the
keep
boss of
pushing
me.
towards it. Yeah, exactly.
I can understand that.
Right, okay, come on. Let's get to it. Let's get to the feedback.
But just to say, James has finished his Beyond Two Souls stream, and the final episodes are now on our YouTube channel. So go check them out.
No, I wouldn't bother.
Sorry, now word from our sponsors. Go on, let's go.
Okay, well, we also had an absolute fuckload of feedback for the Game of the Year show, all positive, so that's good. But I will read one message. I'm not going to read all of them. It's from Thomas. Thanks for all the entertainment this year. It's a beautiful ride of a podcast. Love the passion for games, the squabbles, and the vaguely reasoned debate. The arguments are such a hallmark of the show. It's like the In-Betweeners grew up slightly and formed a comedy podcast that just happens to be my favourite hobby as its theme. I've had a pretty grim year, but this podcast has lifted my spirits so many times with too many hilarious moments to mention. Here's to another year of James farting, Matt's addiction to early adoption, Dave's rages, and hopefully more of Sean sitting on the fence in vain in order to keep order between the rest of them. Most of all, despite the arguments, it's clear as day you love each other. And it's the chemistry that makes the podcast. We had so many messages and retweets and comments about the Game of the Year show. But I just wanted to read that one because it spoke to me.
God,
I noticed-
it was incredible. The response was incredible, and we were texting each other daily with little bits that people sending us, and we really appreciate it. And I think I should also say thanks to everyone that put a tip in a tip jar at the end of it, because basically you've paid for our server costs for the next year, so the show can go on. So yeah, that's going towards our server costs for next year, and a little cheeky bonus at the end of it each, isn't it? So that's nice.
Yeah, I was hoping for a bit more so I can buy £800 of editing software, but as it is, we'll just cover the hosting cost.
People seem to really, really like the Game of the Year show this year, and some
people really liked it.
Some people really liked it. Some people that are in control of a website called Video Gamer, they seem to really enjoy it, didn't they?
They bloody loved it.
enjoy it so much, they fucking ripped it off.
No,
Unbelievable.
no, you don't understand. There was a podcast in the 80s. You wouldn't have heard of it. It was great, but don't Google it. You can't. It wasn't. But they did that years ago. Come on.
I'll be honest, Matt. I listen to their podcast. So basically, if you don't know Video Gamer, a few people were messaging us on Discord going, "You've got to listen to Video Gamer's Game of the Year show." And I was like, okay, why is this? And they were doing the same format as what we do, where you pull the names out of a hat and you face them off one by one and get a winner at the end of it. At first, I was furious. Like, someone has blatantly ripped our idea off. And then I listened to it and I thought, actually, I don't really need to worry. I mean, just let them give it a go. I'm not sweating. Put it that way.
No.
All right.
No.
Keep it TCGS. That's all I'm saying. Right. Okay. Go on.
But speaking of another Game of the Year show, have you guys listened to any of the Giant Bomb ones this year?
No,
I did. Yeah.
I
I started really
spare.
enjoying them.
I mean, I've always loved them. They've always been a big highlight of my year. But this year, I skipped loads. Even the last 6 hours where they actually went through the top 10, that was so bad at points. I was like, I'm not sure if I can do this.
Hang on.
Yeah.
6 hours to get through 10 games.
Yeah.
Well,
It was
yeah, I
brutal.
mean, in total it was 26 hours worth of podcasts over 5 days. But yeah, the last thing was a 6 hour debate. It was horrendous. at points.
I know it's all subjective and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but how they could instantly, they whacked up Battlegrounds as number one way too early. And I thought, that, all right, I've not played Battlegrounds in its finished state. I've put about probably 15 hours into the Xbox One version, which is clearly not as good as it is on the PC. I still don't know how you can put it over Zelda. I don't know how you could put it over Zelda, let alone Mario. That was crazy to me, which is stupid because I know people say that about whatever we put. But I mean, we made Trackmania number one last year, so I can't really comment. But still, come on, boys, come on.
Another big part of the feedback we got on the Game of the Year episode was mostly everyone's favourite now, which is James Farley. They love the fact that he in inverted commas took me down. I mean, I'm not sure what all listeners got in for me, but here's
all
some
this has
comments.
got in for you?
Yeah, I mean,
What do you mean?
basically they're like, Gotti James is my favourite James, bang of a show, glad Matt Farpoint Murray got his comeuppance.
I think because you should feel privileged that you were able to list the games that you wanted on that list, and you blew it, and people wanted to see you punished for that, and rightly so.
Yeah,
I think.
there was another game that you could have had on there, Matt. Was Assassin's Creed Origin. Just out of curiosity, how much of that have you played since you got it?
For 2 hours, I think.
Fair enough.
Why?
Is that what it says on his profile,
Yeah,
James?
yeah, it does. Yeah.
James, you're still doing that? Jesus Christ! You got your moment, James. Don't milk it. Oh, yeah, it's forever now.
See, because I think what's even worse than the what was it, Night in the Woods thing was what was it, Wolfenstein come up against
Nier?
What's that other Automata? Yeah, Nier Automata, right? And Wolfenstein vs Nier Automata. Matt has completed Wolfenstein, said how much he loved it. He never played Nier Automata, and he voted for Nier Automata. That is insane, Matt. You were all right. You were up against the ropes throughout that whole podcast. Fair enough.
I got fucked from as James said. It's a match. It's not Matt. It's not Matt fucked year. It's a Matt fucked up year. And I
you
was getting
completely
screwed.
butchered that classic line, didn't you?
I was getting screwed from the first minute, frankly.
That's not what that means. That means you deserved everything you got. I mean, not only have you not remembered it properly, you forget what he was actually trying to say to you. You fucked it, Matt. Come on, you've got to put the effort in to pull this back now. You need to be. You need to get back in the good
every
books.
day. What are you talking about?
We'll see. Yeah, with memes, they don't count. They don't count, Matt.
The memes have been rubbish as well recently.
No, they really haven't. They proper lazy memes.
What memes have I done recently?
They're so
Didn't you
rubbish
do
I
the
can't
one
even
about-
remember. Go on.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Great, Ev.
The best tweet we've had was you tweeting "Skate Free."
Brilliant.
That
Yeah.
was it.
Well, yeah, but that's also a meme and that worked. So up yours.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone basically loving the Night in the Woods section, and basically everyone loves Farley. Ooh, you're hard. Basically, Tom Durbin tweeted in after hearing about John joining the pod. I genuinely, involuntarily exclaimed yes out loud when I heard John was joining the pod. Now I just need to swap out the other three Muppets for Chet Roivas.
I would gladly step aside for that.
Yeah,
I would gladly
fall
just
on my
go
sword.
on then. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And
Sorry, I should probably say I berated John at the start there. I'm so glad he's joined the show. I'm so glad you've joined the show, John.
Thanks.
We need you every time you've been on. It's been great. So I'm taking the piss and everything.
I appreciate it, and I just want to give a shout out. Loads of people said very kind words on Twitter and everywhere since we made the announcement, and on the stream when we did it as well. So yeah, just massive thanks to anybody who just hit the like on the tweet or just said anything. Really appreciate it. Made me feel very welcome, and it's very warming for my soul.
We've got to think of a proper initiation though. Suggestions, send them in at the computer.
That doesn't sound like something that's going to happen.
yeah, like strips of the waist, fighting.
God.
The usual. That's even follow up. Yeah, but once again, a massive thanks to everyone sending like a Discord message or tweet or done anything, like commented on our Twitch streams over the Christmas break. Thank you ever so much. If you want to tweet us, it's at ComputerGamePod, or you can email thecomputergameshow@gmail.com.
James, let's get on to the news.
Okay, the first thing we got is Burnout Paradise HD might be coming.
Yeah, this is a rumour that's been gathering pace, right? Is it pretty much confirmed for Japan?
It seems to be, and it seems to be going to be March on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Although it's weird because when this was first heard, I heard it was supposed to be a Switch game, but it seems that it's in Japan for about £26.
I don't suppose it says. Well, for starters, the whole because I saw it as a HD remaster as well, and I thought we've got to drop that now
Because it was HD, wasn't it?
It was HD as the Xbox 360. Like, I mean, let's not call them HD remasters anymore. It's getting insane. But I've played a lot of Burnout Paradise. I played a lot of Burnout Paradise last year, and it's still an excellent game to play. The problem is we've now got Forza Horizon, which is, I mean, it's better. Right, it is better. It's better than Burnout Paradise, and
but I think it offers something different though.
Dave.
Burnout Paradise.
What does it offer different?
Well, it's like destructible stuff. It's more. I don't know. I always felt that it's sort of more just ridiculous and fun, like than Forza
It is
Horizon.
more ridiculous. I'll give you that. But Forza, I suppose the online side of things was definitely better in Paradise, right? Definitely. But the solo play is better in Forza. What I'm saying is that it's not. It definitely is, John.
No way, man. Burnout
When was the last
is just
time you played Burnout?
a few weeks ago.
Really? And you
Nothing
still
can touch
think it's
Burnout.
better?
Nothing can
No
touch Burnout
way.
ever. Nothing can touch Burnout. They're different games for serving a different purpose, but that moment to moment in Burnout when you're just like flying, you get into that flow state. There's nothing else. There's nothing in Forza or anything like that. And Burnout
I
Paradise,
don't know, man.
memorizing that world and just becoming kind of one with that map. All the stuff in there, every
I will
single
say
angle that you turn. I know Forza has that, but
Yeah, and Burnout was much more about racing, into oncoming traffic, whereas there isn't as much of that in
That's true.
in Forza. There's very much like there's traffic on the road, but Burnout is very much weaving in and out, going on the wrong side of the road, and it's brilliant for that. I mean, but
you think
you said this was rumored for
test-
Switch. This could absolutely work on Switch. Surely it's like a 360 game, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if this came out on Switch, or I'll be up for
Do
that.
you think this is testing the waters for future Burnout titles?
yeah, I think so. Just because Need for Speed, we don't know the numbers, but the latest one clearly didn't do as well as they would have liked. The one before that, the same. That brand, that EA's sort of main arcade racing brand, is damaged right now. So surely they're looking at their other one that they've had in their back pocket for a while that people still love. They still have Criterion. They're still there, doing stuff for the Star Wars games. It's a kind of a skeleton version of Criterion, but they're still in that EA building. So I reckon it's definitely that.
This is what
and
I
I
always
can't
thought.
see them going, actually, keep them on Star Wars. Keep them on Star Wars. I don't think they're saying that about
It's not
anyone
something that
that
needs to
works
be
on Star
tested.
Wars.
I'm fairly sure the Burnout games sold really well, and everyone loves them. So it's hardly it's a risky.
Of course it is. No, hold on. Of course it's risky. I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, I want a new Burnout game, but they've got to test. I mean, when was the last Burnout game? It was years ago. So there's a whole new market coming into play here. They can't just
but the last
assume
one was
that it's going to come in.
wasn't it? One that reviewed super well. I gather it sold really well.
Fucking years ago, mate.
Yeah,
Years ago.
it's less of a risk than like another Need for Speed, which isn't selling it again.
I don't know, because I always thought it was weird that they went for Need for Speed over Burnout, but then I guess Need for Speed before, like recently, has always sold like really, really well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of the
Yeah.
key franchises in the whole industry. So
Yeah.
it always destroyed Burnout. You know, the Need for Speed Underground games were killing Burnout 3 and Revenge and stuff like that sales wise. Unfortunately,
I always wondered who bought it because I never knew anybody that played that series, but every year it just seemed to do so
it's
well.
everybody you'd never speak to. You know, just all the people who play. It was one of the, you know, when people, now it's like COD and FIFA, but it used to be more like Pro Evo / FIFA and Need for Speed with the two,
Yep.
you know, regular people games.
The normies.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd love to see Burnout come back. There's part of me that, this is terrible, right? But there's part of me that hopes it isn't, like, if they do bring a new one, that it isn't open world, that it's back to, like, the Burnout 2, Burnout 3 era of just point-to-point racing, which would be mental. They would never do it. It would definitely be open world. But fucking Burnout 2 was king for me.
See, if they do this
Absolute
with,
top of the park.
Paradise, though, I mean, I wonder what they're going to do with it, because you can already play Paradise on, like, an Xbox One, because it's already, like, backwards compatible. So, what are they going to do to this to make it worth buying it over, you can, you know, just playing it as you've already got it?
They'll just smarten it up, won't they? And that'll be enough. I mean, when you think about it, can't you play not Last Guardian, Shadow of the Colossus on PS4? No, because it's not got any backwards compatible stuff. Don't be an idiot. Yeah, I don't know. Weird. I think they're testing the waters, and a Switch version would not be against that. That would be interesting. But
You know
okay,
what will happen, though, don't you? If they do a Switch version, it'll end up looking like Rocket League did when it first came out.
Oh my
Switch.
god, have you seen Rocket League now though?
I know
in
it's
handheld
improved, yeah.
mode.
It's
I mean,
much
it's
better.
nowhere near like as good, obviously, as the PS4 or Xbox One versions. But I booted it up today for the first time in a while. I saw it when they enhanced it before, and it looked a lot more acceptable. Now it looks really good. Like, I'm really happy with how that looks on Switch. I mean, compared to when it launched, Jesus, they've done a lot of work on
So
it.
can you see what's happening at the other end of the pitch now?
Matt, you were the only one that couldn't see that. You were the only one that couldn't see it. I mean, it wasn't great, but you acted as if like there was fog on the halfway line.
No. You can
wasn't
see
like
it,
that.
but it looked like Thomas was alone. You know,
James, back me up here.
Isn't it that bad?
it looked
It's
like
alright.
a Lego game. Come on, it looked shocking. But you know, I'm happy
It
with it.
looked
Looks better
bad.
now.
It looked bad. It looks better now. Right. Okay. Next news story.
Okay, so the next one we've got is the Switch is the fastest selling home console ever in the US.
This is brilliant. I mean, we said when we first saw the Switch, we were excited and we thought it was going to sell well. My word, I did not expect it to sell this well. I mean, what were they originally saying? That they wanted to get to 30 million units?
Yeah,
That was the sort of target, wasn't
and I
it?
remember laughing at that on the show, and I probably shouldn't have done, because I just thought that's not going to happen, but yeah, I was wrong about that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a little bit surprised because, when the Wii came out, there was people that you had no idea even knew what gaming was, would look down on gaming, suddenly saying, I want to buy one of those Wii things. And I haven't had that with the Switch. And that's all anecdotal, of course. But
Well, that's what's weird with this, because the previous record holder after this was the Wii. Like, that was the fastest selling before this, and now this. It's
that's what I'm saying. So it's strange that it hasn't been all over I suppose it has been on kids' TV and stuff like that. But
Oh yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
been on Kids TV a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I haven't had random people coming up to me and demanding to know where to buy one. You know what I mean? Like I usually get. Or
Yeah,
that I
I've had
did
a
with the
little bit
Wii.
of that, but certainly more than the Wii U that ever happened. But it just it feels like there's been quite a few kids in my son's like school year who wanted it for Christmas and things like that. And yeah, I think there's that new generation that's come through of kids who are like now, instead of Minecraft, they're growing back up with Mario like we did. And that may just be because we're forcing them as parents, like me and you and James, all of us.
Yeah.
But I think it's crossing that. The reason it's doing so well is that, obviously it's an amazing piece of kit and it's a fantastic console, but it's crossing that generational gap where, the old lot like us, the gamers, the slightly more casual lot, and then the kids, man. I think that's why it's flying.
I think it's also started to like hit a good point with like mobile gaming as well, because I mean, from my perspective, it always feels like sort of tablet gaming and sort of mobile gaming has kind of declined in a way. I know it's still making loads of money, but in terms of like the excitement, the buzz around it, whereas, because of like the free to play, I think, that sort of side of things, whereas people seem to be more interested in playing handhelds again, but like playing like proper games on handhelds. Yeah. So, yeah.
And also, I think it's one of those things that once you see someone else's and you play on it, whether you're, 10, 20, 30, 40, however old you are, you're like, it's different. It's like we know what Xboxes are for years, PlayStations, PCs, all this sort of stuff. Nothing's really changed from kind of an outsider's point of view, but you grab one of those things, you take the controllers off, you play it like that. Like, it's interesting and innovative and, always had the potential to be big. But I, for one, and I'm sure you guys as well, I kind of thought it would be another flop like the Wii U just because I thought the market had moved on. But here we are. Fantastic news, really.
I know. I mean,
it's funny. When we originally saw the concept, we were all saying this is going to be massive. And then they did that initial reveal at the start of last year, and we were like, they've completely fucked it. But it turns out, they've tapped the right markets. They've got the indie stuff on there, and it just so happens that the two, major releases they had planned for it were better than we ever thought they would be, which is crazy considering it was Mario and Zelda. But yeah, I mean, they've absolutely knocked it out of the park. It's been great.
Yeah. And you can't underestimate, like, Splatoon for Japan. Oh, this is US only, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Mario Kart 8, which is something that kind of everyone forgot about come Game of the Year, because obviously it's, the old Wii U game with just a couple of bits tacked on, but that's a monster.
Totally.
It says here, like, half of all Switch owners have got Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane, but yeah.
What have the other half got? That's what I want to know. What are they playing with? Nuts. Okay, fine, cool.
Okay, so last story is... Okay, do you remember Lawbreakers?
Oh, yeah.
John does.
Yeah.
He's a big fan.
Well, there was a story that came out which was, Lawbreakers flopped apparently because of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds: The Ultimate Life and Death Fight. And that's according to publisher Nexon. So they're blaming Battlegrounds for Lawbreakers failing. And it turns out...
that's a bit sensationalised. They weren't actually blaming them for it, were they? They sort of said... possible reasons why the revenue went down, because no one gave a shit, because everyone was buzzing about this Battlegrounds game, and I kind of get that.
I think it's a fair statement. I think it got a lot of news stories written about it when it came out. Actually, apparently it came out in November, the statement, but it got picked up on last week. Mm-hmm. But I think if you just read their statement, it's like, okay, you need to take ownership a little bit more of your own failures, but that is the reason that what everybody on PC was playing PUBG, that is what was happening. So, yeah, that's got to be a large reason why other people weren't diving off to another competitive shooter that was very kind of old-fashioned, didn't have much visual appeal, is brilliant, but, the biggest game ever on Steam happened to launch pretty much the same time.
Yeah.
And Lawbreakers came out August. I think PUBG launched in May, but really started to take off around the summer, like July, August. I mean, I think it's fair. I think it's a fair thing to say. They didn't put out a statement saying this is why, it's just, it was like a sentence within their statement. And
it was an interview,
and also shot the game's been written off on their balance sheet now as worthless.
It says here there's a £24 million expenses hole.
Jesus Christ.
And it's weird because, usually though, even though there's like a game like Battlegrounds which has done like really, really well, you'd still think there'd be room for this. But then it says here like, the player count has dipped to like double figures.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like,
it is a combination of factors, isn't it? I think, the game is a failure in many ways, not mechanically, but sort of all the outside stuff. Plus, they came at it with a kind of arrogant marketing campaign. They thought it was going to be sort of automatically big from its heritage. It did a lot of stuff that Overwatch did, but Overwatch has far more appeal. And it's actually, once you get into it, even though it has a lot of stuff that Overwatch has in terms of like the heroes and, abilities and things like that, Lawbreakers is far more of a shooter than Overwatch. And, it does have some unique stuff with the anti-grav and the combos of your abilities and things like that. But ultimately, they came out, a succession of failures, and then everybody started piling on. Yeah. We saw that people were jumping on the chance to say what the concurrent player number was. Some people were jumping on the chance to kick it while it's down. It just became the meme of the year to kick Lawbreakers, and it's just a shame because, like, it's fucking great. It's a fantastic shooter. I mean, it's so good. And I went on the other day to give it another chance because I'd stopped playing it as well just because a bunch of other stuff came up, and you know what it's like. You know, we play lots of different games. So that's just kind of the nature of the beast. And I just couldn't get a game on PS4, and that was really upsetting because people used to say this about Titanfall 1, that there was no players and all this stuff, but that wasn't true. You could always get a game on Xbox, like within 2 minutes, always. But I just literally couldn't. I just had the thing running for like 5-10 minutes. I just could not get a game, and it's a real shame. So I'm just hoping they go free like tomorrow and just give it like one last chance to find a little audience.
Yeah, I can't wait for them to go free and say the player count's increased 10,000%.
But if they go free and sell loot boxes, they might be able to sustain
it's
something.
A shame. I mean,
there's loot boxes
no
in
one
there.
really
Obviously,
cared for that game today. But I just said people just piled on.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
It's a shame. It's a shame because the other games that didn't find audiences like Evolve and things like that. They just weren't on this level. This is like very, very good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, you look at the two that stick out are, is it Battleborn?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Evolve. And the main criticisms towards those games is that they were just bad games.
Yeah.
And that didn't seem to be the case with this. All the reviews were pretty good. So it
anyone who's played
it
for more than like 90 minutes rates it, as far as I'm aware. I've never heard of anybody who's played it at length and doesn't think it's very good.
Okay, is that it?
That's it. That's all I got.
Well, not a lot happened between Christmas and now.
There was one other thing that Matt wanted to bring up about how...
Go on, what did Matt want to bring up?
Well, the Xbox app has been updated now so that you can do voice chat like outside of using your Xbox, like you can with the Switch's voice app, but I don't think anyone cares about that.
Yeah, why did you want to bring that up, Matt?
Because we ripped into like the Switch for doing it, and now clearly Microsoft think actually maybe it is a good idea. And
well, no, Microsoft, you can already do it through the console. There's this completely different scenario. The reason we ripped into the Switch here is because you had to use your mobile phone.
I get that,
not because you
I
could.
just thought it was interesting. Like, why would Microsoft, why would they?
Okay, what you've been playing then? Should we start what you've been playing? Yes, my word. Okay, let's go. We should probably start with a game that was on our Game of the Year show list that we couldn't really get 100% behind.
Oh, yes, definitely. Farpoint.
It hadn't finished.
Who else played Farpoint over Christmas?
Get out of it.
No.
Matt,
I wanted to give Matt
before.
I wanted to give Matt a little bit of a shout on that game actually, because I thought it was a bit unfair how much stick he got because nobody else had played Farpoint and Matt did obviously thoroughly enjoy it. It really spoke to him. I have actually played Farpoint, and Matt was wrong. The game is fucking awful. That's just like the point. I'm allowed to say that because I played the game.
When you first started that, I was going to stop you and go, that's not what you said to me on the Xbox last night. And then you just went straight into it, so it was all good.
John, we both wanted to play that. We're both very excited, but you felt poorly after turning it on. Like, it's a fine game. Anyone who's got a PSVR, I'll get it.
Life is Strange Before the Storm is what I'm talking about. The third episode came out, and we were a little bit hesitant. I mean, if it was as good as the first two episodes, then brilliant. This could definitely be up there with some of the best games of the year. If it was a flop, then, would it look embarrassing if we pushed it too far? James, you've played it as well, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I finished it about a few days ago.
Massively disappointing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's a real shame actually what happened with that, because I mean, whilst it's not awful or anything, it's just nothing that they tried to do in the first two episodes really lands. I think in the third episode.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, the two. Well, I've spoken about the risks that game played. That game made a lot, right? And how it pulled it off, and a lot of it was, hey, let's put real emphasis on the relationship between these two characters. Let's make it feel real. Let's sort of explore their feelings towards each other. And that's where that game stood out. And it completely drops that for episode 3. They're barely on the screen together. And then it turns into some weird forced detective game for a little bit. And then the moral choice that it gives you at the end is so forced and poorly written and comes out of absolute nowhere that you just kind of think, what the fuck is this? Like, how is this? Well, it doesn't even make sense, and I don't care. Like, it was so disheartening to see, and it felt rushed as well. Did you have like glitches while you were playing it?
No, I didn't have anything
where
like
subtitles would like keep coming up, like the same subtitles kept coming. stuff like that? No, you not have that.
I didn't have that. No. Although, you see, one of the other things that I thought was kind of a shame with this that I didn't feel they really ran with was, they had that whole system of how you were supposed to argue, and you were supposed to like respond to what they were saying and everything.
Yeah, I hated that.
And they didn't really do anything with it though, did they?
No, they
didn't. It was very rarely in it. It was just like towards the end you got to do it, and there was that really. So we can't spoil it, can we? But there was so many bits in it which didn't really feel. Yeah, it didn't flow properly at all. There was things came out of nowhere as well, which seemed to make no sense at all. It was. It was a real disappointment after the first two. It really felt like they were setting something up.
That's not taken away from the first two episodes. I still think the first two episodes were really well done and they're worth playing.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
About so Life is Strange obviously is one of the most talked about games of the last couple of years in amongst people who like to discuss and video games and really get into them, and that's fantastic. I've still not played it. I've got the first season sitting on my PlayStation from PS Plus. So what, from my perception of what it is, it's like a sort of adventure game, Walking Dead style thing, but with teenage girls, etc. But what's the moment to moment in these games? I still don't know what you're doing moment to moment.
They're different from the two series. So in the first series, you played as Max, and the whole idea is that she's just an average high school girl. She's like into photography and stuff like that. She's a bit blank canvas, and you're walking around, and then you suddenly get the ability to rewind time, and she doesn't know how this has happened or why it's happened. But the everyone says it's Twin Peaks, and I guess I've not seen Twin Peaks, but I guess what they're saying is that it's very ordinary people living very, sort of ordinary drama. Like the drama between the characters is all very ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
There's a girl that's lost her dad and she's having to deal with a stepdad coming into her life, and she's rebelling. And then there's a popular girl, but obviously she's got hidden problems and she's dealing with that. But there's all sorts of weird supernatural stuff happening around them, and it's more about how they react with each other in these bizarre situations than it is about what's going on. So from moment to moment in the first series, there are a few puzzles that you're solving by rewinding time and changing things and letting it play out again. You can solve problems between friends by rewinding time and answering correctly and stuff like this. Then there's moral choices, and the trick of the first series was that like in a Telltale game, you make a moral choice and you've got to be quick, you've got to do it.
Yeah.
Well, this one flips that and it says, no, you've got all the time in the world, but then you have to stick with it. So you get to see a little bit into the future of how that would affect the people around you, and then you can rewind it and say, actually, if I do the other way, how's that going to affect them? Oh, fuck, what's worse? Is it this bad scenario or this bad scenario?
It's that, and then also they flip it as well a bit towards the end where it's, things change significantly.
Yeah, the time travel stuff, they go into that a little bit more, and everything gets, it sort of like slowly builds into this massive sort of, it gets stupid towards the end of series one in terms of the supernatural stuff, but you don't care about all that stuff. Like, the whole idea is that there's a tornado heading to the town, and by the end of it, although that's been ramped up, you don't really care about that tornado. You care about the characters and what they're going through, and that's why it was so good. The second series, of course, it didn't have that rewind mechanic, and they tried to replace it with this arguing mechanic where someone says something and you've got to come back with a comeback that relates to what they've just said. Didn't really work. I don't know how you
they just really rarely use it as well. So it's suddenly, like, because I remember when I did it in the third game, in the third episode, it just suddenly happened. I was like, oh yeah, there was this as well, and they kind of did it, and it wasn't very good.
But what's really cool about the second series is that a character that's so insanely confident in the first series, you can see how she's got to that point. Like, she starts off, she's very vulnerable, she's meeting this new person and she's not herself. Like, and you see glimpses of that every time they're both on screen, and it was really good to watch, especially because you knew where that whole thing was ending up, because it was a prequel, right? So you knew what happened to these characters, and it was quite tragic. So the stuff that you're experiencing in series 2, you've got that in the back of your mind, and they play on it so well. And then in the third episode, they drop it and try and turn it into a full-on drama that doesn't work. Everything feels forced, and it felt, actually, I don't know if you felt like this, James, it felt that maybe it should have been 5 episodes and not 3, because they tried to cram so much into that third episode that it just fell to pieces, which is such a shame. Although that last scene of that episode it almost made me feel sick.
Yeah.
It was horrific, but really well done. Like, it's one of those things that's horrific without, like, it's all implying something. It's not actually showing you anything gruesome or anything.
So do you think this has given you lots more insight, and that when season 2 starts, you'll be like, oh, I'm glad I played that because I know that about the story, or is it very much a separate thing?
We don't know if it's going to be the same.
Forget it completely, and
we don't know if it's going to be the same characters or anything, do we?
So there's also
sure,
that extra episode as well, isn't there, that's coming out soon.
Where you play as Max.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out.
I'm a lot less interested in that now. After playing that third episode, I'm a lot less interested in it. But we'll see. If it gets good reviews, I might pick it up. So there was that, and another disappointing game I played over Christmas was Yooka-Laylee on the Switch. As a huge Banjo-Kazooie fan, it's oh my god, what an absolute gutting thing to play. Like, totally, it's completely summed up by the first music you hear in it, which is like, you know, the classic Banjo-Kazooie music. In this, it's like dun 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 dun, and you're like, well, this sounds a bit like Banjo-Kazooie, but you fucked it up like those adverts that are trying to rip off like a pop song or whatever, and just change it a little bit to avoid a lawsuit. It's like that throughout the whole game. Like, it feels like it's trying to be Banjo-Kazooie, rather taking what was good about that game and enhancing it or bringing it into... Yeah, and it doesn't help that I've just played Odyssey, which literally takes Mario 64 and brings it into a new generation, really hones in on why people like that game and tried new things and tried, you know, and everything it does works. With this, it's total dog shit. Visually, it's awful. The sounds are awful. John, you've played this, right?
Yeah.
The music in that fucking ice level is some of the worst music I've ever heard in a game ever. And if there's one thing that Banjo-Kazooie nails, it's the music. Here, it is
I can't remember
awful.
The specific tunes because I played it a long time ago, but a lot of the sound and music did make me want to kind of scoop my own kneecaps out. But
it's shocking.
I liked Banjo-Kazooie back in the day, but I always hated the way the creatures talked. It used to just drive me insane. There's something about those noises. And Yooka-Laylee has that as well. So it's just, that was a nasty flashback that I did not need. I never thought I'd have to hear that noise again.
There's loads of these characters in it that have zero charm. Like, one thing you can say, all right, you didn't like the noises they made, but Bottles was a great character. And, you know, Banjo and Kazooie themselves, they had, you know, they were funny, they were witty. And in this, it's like, it just feels like someone had tried to make a Banjo-Kazooie that game and completely missed the point. And, you know, it controls poorly. The frame rate is shocking. The boss fights are a total mess. I'm absolutely good. Like, here's the other thing: the worlds are actually quite big, and the more pages you collect, you can actually expand them, which is a neat mechanic. However, the game checkpoints every time you enter the world or enter a cave or whatever, so you can travel from one area of the map to the complete opposite, fall off a ledge, die, and you'll be right at the start again, unless you go through like a doorway or something. And it's just like, oh my god, why am I doing this? What the fuck is the point? I was, you know, when everyone started slating this when it first came out, I thought, yeah, but not everyone was on board with Banjo-Kazooie. And then the killer for me was when I heard Darren talk about it, Darren Gargett, when he was slagging it off on this show, I was like, oh man, you're like me when it comes to Banjo, so that's really hard to hear. And there was still a part of me thinking, but still, there's got to be some sort of the Banjo-Kazooie feeling in here somewhere, and there's just not. Like, even the main enemy in the game is, like, it's shocking. It's Gru from Despicable Me, but as a minion. Like, it's the minion Gru. Like, he looks like Gru, and he walks like Gru, and he's yellow. And it's just like, what is this? And yeah, obviously, if it ain't running on the PS4 or the Xbox One, it ain't running on the Switch, you know. And that shows up in anywhere with open areas, man. The game crawls. And of course, the fucking controlling the thing is just a huge pain in the arse. It's so gutting, man.
And I was so surprised by this because I really thought that you'd find something to love in this. I don't know why. I just because of your banjo love, I thought you'd find something. And because I texted you about it, I was like, how is it? Is it? And I was expecting you to say, oh, it's not that great. It's just a bit of a more platformer. But then there's this like diatribe of like hate for it. I was really shocked.
I think what it is that if it tried to be a Banjo-Kazooie style game, like brought out in 2017, then fine. But it wasn't. It was trying to be Banjo-Kazooie. Like, and it just was not that. I mean, even, the Laylee on your back, the bat, she's like just speaking trash like Kazooie did, but just nowhere near as funny, nowhere near as cutting. And they reference the game and, like they did in Banjo-Kazooie, but not one smile out of it. It was just horrible. And in fact, the best thing was I loaded up Banjo-Kazooie to try and see, actually, was I wrong about that as well? And then I played it for like 10 minutes. I was like, nope, that is still brilliant. Like, this is actual dog shit. Matt, you've been continuing with Dark Souls. You're doing quite well, man. We saw you. Yeah. We were chatting last night. John and I were playing PUBG, and I had your stream up while I was waiting for him to finish a game. And I went, holy shit, he's beaten the
Gaping Dragon?
Gaping Dragon, yeah.
I did it on my first go as well, which was
nice.
Yeah, I got to it, and I asked
nice.
I asked the chat what the boss was about, and everyone agreed not to tell me because they thought it was better to surprise me. And when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, I'm never gonna do this." And then I think it's Oodles in the chat said, "Look, just find out how to kill him, and then we'll come back next week." But it actually wasn't that hard at all. It's a very simple sort of pattern. So yeah, I got that first go, and so is that me done in the depths now? Is that the depths done?
Yeah, that's the depths done. I think you do have to still go down there once in a while. I'm sure I went down there later on. Maybe it was just to collect humanity. But yeah, that's the main boss in the depths done. Cool. So it's now on to Blighttown.
But do I not have to go to the garden? People recommend I go to the garden.
No, I said no, but I would do what you want.
Yeah,
you could do whatever.
Yeah.
Why would you say yes?
Well, I said I would. I did. That's probably more an accurate thing to say.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. It's just you want to stick to. I didn't, so do what you want. There's no right or wrong way.
You get that dope ring though in the garden, don't you?
But the way I see it, there are two bosses in the garden, isn't there? Because the garden leads onto the forest. So there are two main bosses down there. Wouldn't you want to do them in one go? Because there's no way he's doing Sif right now, is there?
I didn't do them in one go. I actually went to the garden before the depths in that playthrough, yeah, and I got that ring. What does that ring do? I can't remember. Maybe it helps with encumbrance or something. I can't remember. People are probably screaming right now. And then I fought the boss at the end of that, and then I went down and did the depths, and then I did that other boss later. But we do whatever,
yeah.
Matt.
I think I've only played like 12 or 13 hours so far, and because I passed that place, I was years ago, a couple of years ago. Now it feels like I'll be on a massive journey, but actually it's only been like 13 hours, and at least 2 of those was trying to beat Capra Demon, which I did.
You did it, mate.
And James has paid Dave the £10.
I did, yeah.
He has.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, James. I don't know what you were thinking. Like, genuinely, when you...
I forgot... You see, the thing is, I forgot that Matt was not going to play it like I did. And so, because I just thought it was... I didn't realise he could ask for help and all that kind of thing.
Why didn't you not... Well, do you think every Dark Souls player now has to avoid the internet?
I don't know.
And call me?
I don't know. Well, you see, I went on two things. I thought either, for one thing, I forgot that he'd be able to ask for help, and also there'd be people in the chat be able to help him and stuff. But then also, I just figured Matt hasn't got a great track record of finishing stuff, and I just thought he won't be able to keep up with it. But he's proven me wrong. Yeah, but
you know what Matt's like, right? Matt is definitely, if you leave him be, then he's like that. He's like, no, fuck it, I play it for an hour and I'm done. But if he sets his mind to it, then that's it. He's done. He'll be on that now until he finishes it. He will finish it.
I did one over Christmas, and it wasn't on a Sunday, but I just wanted to do one. And I played last night, and I really want to play again. But
you're in my favourite period of the game. Like throughout, after beating the gargoyles right the way through to Analondo, I loved it. And then I hit a wall again. You're in my favourite bit, I think. And then the third act, as I always say, is pretty much dog shit from there on, right? The whole last 4 bosses that you have to beat before going and finishing the game.
But no, I'm
not
absolutely
very
loving it.
good.
I haven't really had, even when I was trying to beat Capra for like 2 hours or so, even that wasn't frustrating. Maybe it's because I got the chat for company or whatever. But yeah, I haven't.
Fucking hell,
I haven't
John
hated
nearly
it
had a
yet.
breakdown when he was doing that.
There was
It
no
did
nearly
bother
about
me.
it.
You were texting me throughout the day.
I'm still angry about that. That was years ago.
But yeah,
Right, okay.
very
Well,
And I'm going to be
Well,
playing Battlegrounds with everyone else.
I was saving it, but should we do the Battlegrounds chat? Let's do it, because this is the game we've been playing the most, I think, over
This
Christmas.
is basically all I played. I've got obviously loads of other games to play to finish, and I thought, okay, I'll play Life is Strange. I've got that to do. Others, maybe I'll start The Witcher. No, I just played this every night.
Yeah, Chet sent us a text this morning saying, is Battlegrounds affecting anyone else's sleep? And I was like, yes, it is absolutely affecting my sleep. I have not been to bed before 12:30 since I got the game on Christmas Day. Chet gave it to me for Christmas. And I absolutely adore it.
Mm-hmm.
I adore it, but there are obvious reservations. I mean, it's terrible. The condition of it.
So how are we going to do
Xbox
this?
One
Should we talk about? We're all playing on Xbox, so anybody who's played on PC for months, apologies, because you've heard all this before. And then talk about individual experiences. And then I want to talk a little bit about comparing it to Fortnite as well. But
Okay.
yeah. So should we? Yeah.
Let's
So
do
I've done the
exactly
first
that.
bit,
Let's
yeah.
do exactly that. So let's get the technical stuff out of the way. At the moment, it runs like shit on the Xbox One. It crashes, and this is both
to be
on...
fair though, before you go on, new patch dropped today, Monday the 8th in the morning, and it runs much smoother. People are reporting basically no crashes, and it's still obviously a bit of a fucking mess, but significantly better than when we were playing it on Sunday. So I just have to say that, but that's not to say that it hasn't been a mess since launch, and it's still, still janky as
Yeah,
hell.
no, totally. And I totally expect them to completely, get this up to speed. It will take them a while, but I think they will start now that the PC version's out, which has obviously been their main priority because they've always said they wanted to get to 1.0 before the end of last year. I think they will start focusing on sorting out the Xbox version. But yeah, I've been playing it on a launch day Xbox, and Matt and John have been playing it on Xbox One X, and we've both been getting an insane amount of crashes. Like, I'd say 1 every 3 games crashes at
easy.
some
I mean,
point.
crashes are. So what typically happens is someone, I guess anyone in the squad you're playing with, one of us will just crash the main menu. If you're playing in a squad, you can, when the game reloads back up, you can, in the main menu, you can quickly go back into your squad and quickly back into the game, which is good. But that does mean that the player that was left in the game is still doing the thing that you basically that when it crashed it was
when
doing.
it crashed,
Like,
yeah.
I played a game with Chris that we know, and he was strafing at the time it crashed, and then he was out of the game, like reloading it back up while his player was strafing across the entire map out of the circle. We've had so many times where one of us the game has crashed on one of us where we've been in the car, and then the others can't get out of the car really because otherwise they'll just be like a dummy,
driving
in the
along
car,
at full speed,
doing nothing.
Yeah.
and I think James, when James played it, or someone played it, he crashed when he was running, and then he was just running
We just see him
on his
running out
own.
to sea.
And I was like, I need to try and get in front of him to stop him, but I couldn't because he was running so fast. So yeah, all those times where players are crashing, and then it's not so bad if you're, say, in the circle or maybe you're in a building. It's fine because there is enough time for you to get back into the game. But when you're like strafing or running and then it crashes and then that player is just running across the map, like, I'm sorry, James, I couldn't help you. Yeah, brilliant.
But there's also been other things like the world not loading by the time you land.
Oh god, yeah,
and,
that's shocking. When you land, you're like, I think this is a building. Oh shit, okay, the textures are there.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I might sound a bit bitter here, but I swear to God, the impact, the hitboxes and stuff are completely screwed. I think it might be a lag issue or whatever, but my word, the amount of gunfights that I've had where I'm clearly got the fucking crosshair over them, firing away, and it just doesn't register, and then one pop to the head and I'm dead. Like, that is infuriating, especially the nature of PUBG, is that obviously you're out of the game once you're dead. It's just like, what's the fucking point? But with all that being said, I cannot deny that this is, I have fucking loved it. Like, I never thought I would like it. Well, we played a lot of Fortnite, John, and we'll come to the comparisons. as you say, but I had no idea that the vast majority of the appeal for me for this game would be in the stories. The journey that you go on. And I mean, there are times where you land and you die straight away and it's like, oh, fuck this. And then you have to wait ages to get back into a game and stuff. But the games that last, and this is the weird thing with PUBG, when you sit down in the evening and you say, right, let's play a game, that game could last 5 minutes, it could last nearly an hour.
Yeah.
Like and the ones that last that long are so good. And we'll come on to the end game bit in a bit, because I know we've been discussing that recently and saying maybe that's not as much fun. But for the 40 minutes where you're building up and moving, you don't even need to see another person. The tension throughout the whole thing, and gearing up and swapping gear between you, and making sure you have enough bandages or enough equipment is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And then all of a sudden you'll be in a house and you'll hear a car pull up and you're like, fuck, right, everyone get into place. And every game that I've played has felt completely unique.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
a new story every time, and it's really quite amazing. And obviously, I'll only say this one more time, but people have been playing on PC for the last 6-7 months. They know this already, so this isn't news to those people. But realistically, I had played a bit on PC. I know Matt had played a bit on PC, but this is our real first experiences with this game, and just the size and the scope of the map. There are elements of Battlefield in that. One of the things that I loved about that game and love about that game compared to Call of Duty is that, it's sort of a simulator for moments, a simulator for memories almost, a simulator for stuff that you want to capture or talk about. And PUBG is just that sort of, amplified, obviously, depending on where you drop, depending on where the circle is, depending on how, if you're playing with other people or playing alone, depending on what weapons you get early on. It's a completely unique narrative every single time. I have key memories in my mind of just stuff that's happened in matches. Just last night when I was playing with Chet, and we suddenly got chased by two guys on a motorbike in a sidecar, popping us, and we hid our little car under a bridge and drove away, and then they couldn't catch up. Just little things like that. Or when we were holding down the top of the observation tower in the South Island, and then we just heard people come, and we heard the door open, and we were like, fuck. I mean, it's kind of the stuff that multiplayer games have always promised and always, had the potential to do, realised. And that's, I think, why you put up so much of the shit, especially on Xbox since the launch. Like it's in early access or preview or whatever they want to call it in Xbox. So fair enough. And it was only £20 as well. But, it's been awful at times with all the stuff that Dave talks about. But you put up with it. You put up with it because it's delivering kind of a level of sort of narrative immersion, which is a weird thing to say about a game that has no story. It's delivering that in a way that basically nothing else ever has. And,
it's worth it for the tension.
I'll talk about Fortnite in a minute, which is, mimics a lot of what PUBG does as well. But, PUBG's on a completely different level. And I think it's due to the scope, due to the systems, and, just even simple stuff like the vehicles. But, I was listening to a podcast today with Player Unknown himself on the H3 podcast, the podcast that I don't normally enjoy, but this was a really good interview. He's a really interesting guy. And basically he's never really played any other games. He's, just played odds and sods here and there, but he's just come from this like very specific military shooter background, then didn't really play games for a while, then found DayZ, a period in his life where he had time to play games, and then it just all went from there. And so you can kind of see that singular focus of what he's wanted. He's not bringing in all of these outside sources in his mind, the years and years of multiplayer that we've all experienced. His has been very specific. So to this huge audience that it's suddenly got now, and he's refined that and made that more mainstream over sort of 4 games across like H1Z1, across Arma, and whatnot, and DayZ. He's now just, created a bunch of new systems that is delivering something that we've never really had before, but it's also so simple, and that's the other beautiful thing about it. Like, anyone can watch this game. Anyone can watch it and know what's going on. Like, I can't watch most esports games and know what's going on unless it's a fighting game, really, or football, Rocket League. But anybody could watch a game of PUBG and be able to follow it straight away. They might not know the intricacies and the nuances and why this attachment and all that sort of stuff, obviously, but guy drops in, there's 100 of them, last one survives, anyone can watch it, and it's just a game of drama, and that's why I've been staying up till gone to night after night. I'm fucking haggard. I go to bed, my adrenaline's so jacked that I can't sleep. Wake up thinking about circles. It's becoming detrimental to my health. But I'm not going to stop. Well, I was thinking about stopping, then I got a chicken dinner today, just randomly.
God, you sending me that picture of your chicken dinner today? Like, last night, I had a terrible night on it.
Yeah, it was rough.
An absolutely terrible night. I got killed. It felt like I could do nothing but be the first dead. And when you're first dead and you've got a whole squad, it's like, okay, now I'm just sitting here watching you play, which can be fun, but at the same time, you're so frustrated.
It's fun if you die
killed.
10 minutes from the end, but if you die 35 minutes from the end, it's not good.
It was infuriating, and it felt that there was nothing I could do, because if I was lagging behind, I'd get picked off by someone, and if I was going ahead, I would walk into a house and there'd be a person with a shotgun there, and I'd just be like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Maybe stick with a group.
Sorry, Matt, is that coming from you? Is that coming
That's
from you?
very true, yeah.
Is that I'm going to another town to try and get stuff that you can't
How
get?
many chicken dinners have you won, Dave?
Well, John,
Yeah.
you know what I said to you about last night about Matt winning things?
You did say that.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
I said, I love Matt. I'm really happy for him when he does something like this, beating the dragon in one, right? He's infuriating when he achieves something like that. He's a very, very bad winner. And I knew that was going to come up. How many chicken dinners have you got, mate? Fuck off, Matt. Fuck off. Honestly.
I didn't even talk to you about Dark Souls, so you can't...
No, I was watching it on Twitch, and I was like, didn't I? Because I said, fucking, he's done it. Yes, Matt, get in there. And then you started going, yeah, first time. And I was like, fuck off, Matt, you're a prick.
It was a surprise to me.
Instantly got angry. Why is it a surprise?
It's the Palace fan in him, Dave. You can't
Yeah,
help
it's
it.
the smug. Well, don't worry, I'm not too worried about that. They got knocked out by Brighton in the FA Cup tonight, so it's all right. Yeah, so... the amount of stories that I've got, my favourite is still when we were doing a 4-man squad game, and we'd literally just landed. I'd run into this house and hadn't realised that someone had opened it from the other side, and standing in there was a woman in her underwear with a double barrel shotgun pointed right at my head. She managed to miss with the first shot, miss with the second. As she's reloading, I'm just punching her in the face as hard as I can, hoping that she might drop before the end. All of a sudden, a third door flung open, and it was Zeno, our mate Zeno, with a gun, and he just went, "Stand back." I stood back, and then he just blew her head off. And I was just like, this is the best game ever. That one moment there was better than most other games that I've played for hours. You know, it was that good. And yeah, we were saying last night that maybe we've hammered it too much and we were getting a little bit tired of it, but I definitely think it's going to be one of those games that lives on a hard drive, and we'll take a couple of months off, and then we'll come back and say, someone will go, do you want a game of PUBG? Yeah, fuck it, let's play PUBG. And then we'll play it hardcore for a month again, and then drift away. I think it will always be there.
I think it's going to be in the rotation for a long time. I definitely think.
And what's great is that they're going to be improving it. So every time
honestly,
you
haven't played it yet today. I got chicken dinner today. We've just seen that Chet and Zeno have got a chicken dinner this afternoon. I got a bunch of kills, which is not like me. I was awful at shooting. I'm not great at shooting in multiplayer games at the best of times. Truly awful in PUBG on Xbox. But suddenly, I was getting headshots and aiming, and I was like, oh, this feels a bit different. And again, yeah, the boys just got chucked in as well today. So maybe the tweaks that they've done to the FPS and things like that, it is going to mean that you're going to have a much better time on it, or maybe you're not. We shall see. But yeah, just to kind of go on what you said about those moments, like the chicken dinner I had today. I was just waiting. I was going to play a game with Chet, sneaky one during the day during lunch hour, and he'd forgotten to do the update, so I had to play it on my own. Accidentally.
That's funny because you literally reminded him to do the update.
Twice.
It does it automatically.
Twice. I did it twice. But I accidentally launched into a duos instead of a solo, which is what I was planning to do. And I was planning drop into school, which if you've not played PUBG is basically the middle of the map where everyone drops. There's a bunch of loot there, and it's basically an absolute fight. Most games of PUBG, you'll drop somewhere reasonably remote. You might not see anyone for 20 minutes. It's quiet, and then it builds and it builds, and you have peaks and troughs. But if you drop into school, it's a fight straight away. So I thought I'll drop into school, get into a fight, maybe die in 2 minutes, see what happens. got into the school, survived, which is a rare thing anyway, got a couple of kills in there, and then the guy I was with had just landed on all the way the other side of the map, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't know who this person is, fair enough. Managed to like sneak my way out of the school, go up some hills, guy in a buggy comes past, I blew out his tyre and headshotted him. I was like, what the hell is going on? I'm playing really well. And I was like, well, this guy's still alive. Move into the circle, and I was like, this guy's still alive. And then I was like, he's running towards me. He's finally met up with me. And this guy came and he ran up to me, jumped in my buggy that I'd stolen these other people. We razzed it into the circle. And then me and this guy just hiding in this hut. Obviously, we're not talking to one another. Noticed he had slightly low health, so I dropped him an energy drink and pointed down, and he drank that. And I thought at that point, I was like, this guy must think I'm a legend for doing that with that. The circle shrunk in again, and we went, like, without communicating with each other in any way, we both sort of went 3, 2, 1, ran. 2 people came out. He's trying to fire at them. I'm flanking to the left. He goes down. I kill one, somehow kill the other. Complete freak occurrence. And he dies. And I just run in, there's like 8 people left or something, and I'm just hiding in this bush at the top of the circle, and thankfully I had a sniper rifle, and I don't know, like somebody started popping off shots, I turn around and he's there, and I was like, well, I'm going to shoot this guy and see what happens. I think there's 5 left at this point. Line up, bang, bang, and then he goes down, or dies, and then I feel like a shot on me, and the screen goes black. I thought, fuck, I've been headshotted. Damn it. And then I look up, and it said, winner, chicken dinner, and I was like, fucking yes! And
so some people must have died while
I guess
you were
they're in a
taking those
circle.
shots?
I guess the person that shot me died in a circle. I honestly don't know what happened. I killed a guy. Maybe that, but I felt like I got hit as well because my pad rumbled and I heard it. And then suddenly, the second that happened, the screen went black like when you die. So I figured I'd just been headshotted. But yeah, it was, I look up and I'd won. And yeah, what an exhilarating.
Sounds like connection issues. Sound like a weak chicken dinner there.
Weak chicken dinner?
No such
yeah,
thing.
it does.
But Dave,
It
I
sounds like
was
you
on your
won by
side. I was
default.
on your side about Matt, but yeah, actually, I'm on Team Matt now. Fuck yourself. Go and get a chicken dinner and you
I'm
can
still
talk.
bitter. I haven't had one.
Go and get a
I'm
second chicken
absolutely
dinner
gutted.
and we can talk. Go and get 1 chicken dinner. Go and get a fucking chicken wing and we can talk, Dave.
Yeah, I'm frustrated at the moment.
You'll
But,
get it.
we
You'll
need
get
to-
it. The
We
Colonel's
nearly
got
got
one.
one. When I first played, we nearly got one.
We did.
John,
We were
this is
Like,
what
2
I'm
millimetres
getting
from
at,
it.
right? This is what I'm getting at, because James has been outright saying, I never want to play this game, I hate it because people call it PUBG. That's the only reason why he hates it. And suddenly he's bought it. What made you buy it, James?
Well, I did figure out I need to give this a go because everybody's playing it, obviously, and it seems to be like a massive deal. And I thought I can't just ignore it. And it was only £25. It wasn't like really super expensive. What's happening with that? Is there going to be like another release later down that we're going to have to pay for again, or
No, that's
what's
what
the
it
deal?
costs on PC, so they just, yeah. That's just what it costs.
But yeah, I mean, I thought I'd give it a go, and I mean, my first impressions of it were not great, to be honest, because it just...
Oh, God,
I mean,
the messages we were getting, Matt, it was just infuriating. I was just... Because we'd played it, and we were like, this is actually really good. I mean, Matt knew it was good anyway, because all his favourite influencers told him so. But it was we were behind PUBG, and we wanted to give it a go. And then James was like texting, the frame rate's bad. Yeah, it's in
come
early
on, it
access,
wasn't...
James.
Dave, okay, knock off the voice, right?
It's crashed again.
Because that was the thing.
James,
it
I know, mate.
crashed
It's
every
a bit
single time
broken,
I played it, it crashed. It didn't load textures like ever. It's like shockingly, like the frame rate was awful, like each time I played. But then, you see, the thing is, I only played it a couple of times before I played with you guys. And then we played as a group, and it was kind of, it suddenly did click with me, and I suddenly realised this is actually really fun. And it is the
What
first...
was it? What made it click?
Well, I think it was that game that we played where we nearly won. And it wasn't because of that, but it's what you were saying about the fact that there's so many like stories going on in that. And there was, I mean, during the whole of that game, how long did that take? It was about 45 minutes, I think.
something like
we
that.
played
about that, yeah.
And there were so many things that happened that, like I got that trench coat, which looked ridiculous, and like Matt was saying that I looked like Neo, and it was ridiculous, and which was very funny. And then there was that whole like, you two got killed, and then I accidentally dropped a grenade that went off.
Oh, God, I forgot about that. That was funny.
That didn't go very well.
Was that the one where you said that you definitely didn't drop that grenade?
I definitely didn't drop that one, but there was a later one that I did drop by accident.
The total bollocks.
But then-
total bollocks, James.
But then John was driving this car, and then he just drove the car into like a war zone. You two got taken out, and then he just took off, and I was still in the car, which was pretty funny. And then we spent ages just driving around, and he was like, "It's fine, we've got loads of petrol." And I was like, "Yeah, but this is totally pointless. We're just like driving around." And then we ended up in some city, and then we got into this house, and then these people attacked the city with like a buggy. They got out the buggy, and then John was like, "Let's go and get that." So we like jumped out the window and grabbed that. I was sitting on the back of the buggy, like totally exposed. But then for somehow we still managed to get it down. Like it got to the point where the circle was shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and then. Like, it was like, you guys were like counting down how many were left, while John was just manically just like driving around like this circle. And I was starting to, seriously, I felt really sick, like, from that, because
What do you mean?
Because there's the problems with the frame rate. It looked terrible, and it was just like lurching all over the place. And it was just like you were like going, "There's 6 left, there's 6 left, there's 4 left," like that. And it's like, "Oh, am I going to survive?" And I was being shot at, and it was amazing. It was really, really fun. And this is the first game. You see, I don't play competitive shooters hardly ever anymore. Like I play like co-op games, because I don't care about being first, like really with these kind of stuff anymore, because I'm old. But with this is the first game that I played for a long time, where after that night, and I haven't played it again, but I really want to, and I just kept on thinking, like, I want to play more of this game, and it's the first competitive like game that I've played like that I felt that I wanted to play more of, like really, really wanted to play more of.
At times it doesn't really feel competitive, does it? Because you're working as a team in such a way, in such a slow way, you've got to stick together. I said, it reminds me a little bit, right, only a tiny little bit of Left 4 Dead, but it also really reminds me of Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
Because we used to play a lot of Rainbow Six on the Xbox 360 and stuff. And it reminded me of the survival mode in that. You know, all right, you can exchange weapons and stuff, but there was a lot of like slow moving. Where is this guy? You don't know where the enemy is and stuff. And it's the same with Rainbow Six Siege. There's a lot of waiting about and just holding up position and deciding whether to make a run for it and this, that and the other. It feels like a combination of both those games, and it comes together in such a great way that because GTA is another one as well. I mean, the amount of time when GTA Grand Theft Auto's come out, the forums are filled with posts from people saying, "Oh, this happened to me, and then this happened, and then we ended up here," you know, and it feels like an adventure and a journey and a story to tell. And this is just full of that shit. It's fucking wonderful. I knew you'd like it. I didn't know you'd like it before we played it, but once we played it, I thought, yeah, no, James, this is going to be right up your street. You just need to plan a squad. You plan on your own, I think you get bored way too quickly. But, you know, with a team of 4 of us. And incidentally, the game that James was just talking about is on YouTube. So if you go to our YouTube page, you can actually watch that happen along with us all laughing throughout the whole thing.
It was brilliant.
And I think James dropping a smoke grenade is on there as well. Yeah,
probably.
Completely giving away our position.
But I like when we dropped into that school, and like, because that was like, you were like, "Oh, we'll do a more difficult one," and we dropped into there, and it was just like chaos, but really fun. And like, I just punched someone to death, and it was just like, it was brilliant. It's
Matt, do you remember when we landed at, I think it was near the school as well, where everyone was punching each other, and then I punched that bloke, and he ran off, and his mate turned up with a gun, but only had a couple of bullets, so tried to shoot me and missed. So I started punching him, got him down onto, like knocked him out, which then you have to kill him. So I knocked him down, so he couldn't do it, he was incapacitated. Then his mate come out of nowhere and started punching me on the back of the head as I'm trying to kill his mate. So I turn around and punch him to death and then finish off his mate. And Matt was on the floor, like he'd been
because
shot
I'd
down.
already been knocked out, so I was on the ground hoping you'd heal me. You started healing me, then someone else came, another punch was thrown. Yeah, it's crazy.
But we were both like had tears in our eyes for laughing. Like we were laughing at the whole thing. It was like Benny Hill. Like it was proper belly laughing throughout the whole thing.
See, what I also really liked about it is the fact that although there's like 100 people, you really can just like land somewhere and then just take your time. Like really, you know, I mean, there is obviously the limit with the thing, but you can like, you know, you can like stock up, you can like work out where you're going to go. I don't know. I just enjoy that a lot more than just like but then it just gets really frantic when it all like kicks off, but you feel ready for it, and it's just
the
tension at the end is just it's unbearable. It's just like the heart is absolutely bursting at your chest when it's like when the circle is that small and you can basically see all around you. Obviously, depending on where the circle ends up. And yeah, it's just so tense. And like, there's 3 left. Where are they? And like at that point, most people are just like laying down on the ground. And Oh yeah, it's well tense, but it's amazing.
So, John, what did you want to say when it comes to Fortnite? Because Fortnite come to consoles early; it was free to play. We got this before we did Battlegrounds on console, and you've always been a big champion of Fortnite and how it's different and how it works. So, what was it you wanted to go into when you were comparing these two?
Yeah, well, first of all, when PUBG first launched, and it was a mess, and like I couldn't stand like not being able to hit anyone with the guns or anything like that. I went back on Fortnite for the first time in a little while and realised that they'd done so much to it, like from the front end to the way the game runs, the way the game looks gorgeous on the X in 4K, and we're coming from Battlegrounds then, which is probably running at a steady 18 frames per second, to Fortnite. It's like, oh, it's so smooth, like you can aim, the guns are lovely. Like, I was like, why on earth are we playing this crap when we can just play basically the same game in Fortnite, but it just runs so beautifully. But then the more we played PlayerUnknown's, the more stuff, like these stories that we're talking about started to happen. And to be fair, due to the smaller size of Fortnite's map, due to the fact that there are no vehicles as well, and due to the fact that there's far less loot, you get less of those amazing stories. The game's typically sort of 15 to 20 minutes as opposed to 45 to 50 minutes, and you do feel like you've gone on less of a journey. I did at the beginning when you first started playing it, just because like it was all pretty new then. But now if you play Fortnite, it feels less like that. But it feels very much more like a console game. There's a bit of aim assist to it. Like everything's just sort of chunky and nice. But what's kind of amazing about Fortnite, what it does have over PUBG, and what it actually has over any shooter ever, is this amazing building stuff that's in the game. And like when we first played it, I barely even paid any attention to that stuff, and you'd occasionally see a little ramp built in the world that somebody had tried to build, but basically everyone ignored it. But now, say if you die with 10 players to go in Fortnite, and the same thing, 100 players, squads, duos, solos, shrinking circle, well, it's the exact same thing in that respect. You can actually spectate the end of the game. So quite often, say I die, 8 players to go, I just watch the rest play out, and like the end game of Fortnite is amazing because the circle shrinks to a small size, and people have built these amazing sort of structures and bases and towers where they've got a bunch of ramps inside, and it becomes this sort of, it's still the PUBG end game of hiding in bushes and being super tense and tight, but there's also this like, people can build these towers, like huge towers, different structures out of different things. They can build them in seconds, and it's really quite amazing how they managed to get that working so well on both controller and on mouse and keyboard for PC. And it's basically like no other shooter ever. Like in PUBG, if you hear a shot from behind you and it hits you, but basically your choices are lie on the ground, probably get sniped, run in a different direction, try and find some cover, or die, or just get lucky. There's basically your choices, and there's your choices in almost any game. But in Fortnite, you shoot someone from behind, don't kill them, they'll immediately turn around and build a wall in front of you. It's like that's not in any other game ever. And so in that respect, like the kind of meta, I guess you'd call it, of Fortnite Battle Royale is actually very different to Battlegrounds, even though the sort of basic structure is the same, and a lot of the moments still feel the same, especially early game. But the end game, like, you should see it. And I've started to get the hang of the building now. I'm nowhere near as good as the players who can just knock up these structures in seconds, but it's easy enough that you can build yourself a nice basic tower with ramps pretty easily, and that'll do you. So
the building stuff is brilliant, and I've seen loads of like crazy moments. I think I saw one today on Instagram of a guy being knocked out or incapacitated, lying on the ground, and then someone else was about to kill him, and they fired one of his like pumpkin rockets at him, and the person who was on the ground like jumped up and then basically used that rocket to be propelled across the map. Like they use it as like as a plane essentially. And like, it's like really amazing arcadey moments. It's basically a rocket jump, but the other player's about to kill him, and that person used it as a way out of that scenario. It's amazing. Yeah, I've seen loads of those moments on Instagram and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm genuinely really pleased with the game because I just think, obviously it is free. You can play it completely for free without ever feeling like you need to drop any money on it. I have actually dropped, they have like a thing called a battle pass, which allows you to level up to get better, like unique cosmetics. Cost £8 a season. I think they're doing 3 monthly seasons. I was like, I think they deserve my $7.99. And the suits that they were offering up were really nice, these suits of armor. But you put the game on and like the front end's really nice. It's got challenges to get extra XP like a normal shooter. You can see PUBG has obviously made a lot of money, but you can see why it's been made by a small team that's trying to grow and trying to catch up with their own success. Whereas Fortnite Battle Royale, you could see that everything's already been in place from a company like Epic to capitalize on its success, if that makes sense. You know, like Epic, I believe, Matt, you'll probably know. So they owned by Tencent or Gung Ho, one of the big Chinese companies now?
Tencent, I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, they're owned by Tencent. So, you know, like money, resources, these things aren't a problem. And, obviously it's their engine, you know, all that sort of stuff. So I'm excited for the future of both games. I'm hoping I can convince people to do a bit of Fortnite here and there as well, because you still get the magic of PUBG in different ways. And I think both are worth playing. And I think for me, they'll both be in the rotation of games that I play, like, you know, like Rocket League and football games that, you know, that I'll keep coming back to. But, yeah, I just kind of wanted to highlight some of the similarities and differences between the two. And this is clearly the genre that's going to be, very, very big over the next few years. We've seen that Paladins Battlegrounds has just been announced, another free-to-play job. First Battle Royale game. Don't know, Paladins is, you know, an Overwatch rip-off with some MOBA elements that's very slick, has a big player base because it's free. This could be good. And then I'm intrigued to see what one of the true big boys does with it. You know, the Ubisofts, the Rockstars, even the EAs, the Activisions. Like, somebody's going to come, you know, imagine.
Yeah, and really push it to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll never take over Battlegrounds. Maybe they'll never recapture that sort of, that magic, but someone's going to come with like a lot of money and really try and do it well, and that's going to be really interesting to see, whether it's one of the established franchises or we shall see. It's going to be interesting, and then we'll all probably be fed up with it soon in a year or so.
Yeah, but I mean, I've got to say, I've got no interest of going back to Fortnite, because I don't know, it just, for me, I really loved what Battlefield, like, I liked the time we had with Fortnite, but when I played Battlegrounds, I was like, okay, this is why it's better. You know, the as shit as it is, as shit as it runs, I completely saw through that and really enjoyed that sort of the story it was telling as I was playing it, and I never felt that with Fortnite.
No, and
as you
right.
say,
you are right.
Yeah, as you say, that might change in the future, or it might have changed since I last played it. But the whole the communication was totally different when we were playing Battlegrounds. From day one, it was all about, what have you got? What can you swap? What's, who needs this?
There's a decent amount of that. You watch like a good mate of mine is a popular YouTuber called Wizite, and he's doing, like a lot of them are doing Fortnite videos, and he's doing a lot of squad games with other big YouTubers at the moment. You watch one of his videos, it's all like, I've got bandages, I've got health, I'll drop this, I'll swap this with you. It's very similar in that respect.
Yeah,
to be fair.
I mean, maybe I should give it another go, but it's
when
when
I
I'm
tell
playing
you
a
what, there's
game
one
like this,
thing when you, as good as
why aren't we playing
PUBG is,
Battlefield?
loading up Fortnite and just like dropping in that first time, and it's just buttery smooth, and everything just feels so nice, and you're just like, that's nice. And it's over, it's so much faster as well that it is over in 15 minutes. You lose a lot because of that, but I think there's room for both. There was definitely room for both for me. Especially if we do get to that point where we wind down on the PUBG every night till God knows what time in the morning. I think I'll probably, if I'm doing a bit of solos, it'll probably just be the odd little bit of Fortnite here and there, in the same way as we play Rocket League. But I don't know. It's a good time. It's a good time for multiplayer shooters all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's such a shame I got work,
it really is.
because I could happily spend out,
It's dangerous, man.
Yeah,
It's
2 or 3 in the
dangerous.
morning. Every single night on a holiday, I was up ridiculously late on this thing.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, well, I'm back at work now. I can't be up till 2 or 1. It's just, like, I know we've been on about this for a while now, so we'll stop in a minute. But it's just, it's worth all the stress and like some of the games where you get killed early or not a lot happens, just for that tension in the end game. It's worth it for those wins
And for the win.
Yeah.
Oh my God, today I was just literally marching around my house. Nobody else was in the house. I work at home. And marching around my house going, Chuck, Dens, just for about 3 straight minutes.
we did a Conor McGregor walk. Like,
No, it was like a fist pump, like va, va, va.
yeah,
Like I was in a
that's the
protest.
one I was probably fist punching. Yeah, whatever it is. Punching, yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah, Jason Puncheon. I can't wait to play more. I think we should commit now to saying, look, all right, we did that stream, it worked out pretty well. We should probably commit to saying, look, we'll keep streaming it, not weekly, but, there or thereabouts.
Fortnightly.
With the 4 of us,
perhaps.
until we get, until we get a chicken dinner. We've got to get a chicken dinner, the 4 of us.
Oh,
It's got to happen at some
we'll
point.
get chucked in. So I'm not worried about that.
All right, we'll commit to that then.
All right.
In pencil.
Yeah.
We'll pencil
Yeah,
that in. Okay, cool. Right, have we got any other games on the list? I've closed the
Yeah, James has got a few,
because
and I've
we've
got a
been talking
couple.
about that so
Yeah,
much.
go on,
I'll do
James.
quickly in a minute.
All right, go on, James. You pick one.
I've
to
got,
open up with.
okay, so I played Super Hot VR over
Oh, yeah?
over
Talk to me.
Christmas, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I haven't had a feeling playing a game like that for such a long time. It's just there was this amazing bit right at the beginning where like you like shoot somebody and then the gun flies through the air in slow motion.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
with the other like move controller, you grab it out the air and then shoot somebody who's like running at you. And you just feel like an action hero.
Yeah.
And it's you look like a complete idiot because my wife was obviously filming me while I was doing this. And
Oh, we've got to get footage of that.
Yeah.
for the
no,
YouTube
that
page.
is absolutely not
Yeah.
happening. I also
Oh,
I'll
that
text her
totally
now.
is. I'm gonna.
that game
please.
that game also like I punched the wall by accident.
I
and
punched
actually,
my child.
this
Wasn't it your wedding photo?
It was actually our wedding photo was on the wall, and I punched it because I didn't realise it was there. And and the thing is I did it once, and obviously there was some swearing and some shouting going on, and then I did it again later because I didn't realise I'd moved so far from like playing it, and it really hurt. And but the game is fantastic. It's I mean I haven't finished it yet. How long is it, Matt?
Oh,
is
it's not long at all. I can't think.
okay?
4 hours, 5 hours.
Matt hasn't completed it.
Do not check, but it's not long.
Okay, because if you've got PlayStation VR, it's absolutely worth playing. I mean, it's basically you. I mean, I use the Move controllers. You pick up the in fact, you can only use Move controllers, which forced me to go out and buy some. That was another story, which was really annoying because I forced my wife to go out and buy some with me, and then I got to the car park, and then we parked, and then later on I came back and then realised that I didn't have any change to get out of the car park. And I thought it could take contactless, but it couldn't, and so we were stuck. And I had to get someone to bring me some money, which was really
Well, I'm
embarrassing.
glad you told us that story. Maybe you had money. You would have had money if you had not yet again bought a copy of FIFA for the PS4. That's right, listeners. Since the last episode where we worked out James had bought 4 copies of FIFA 18 and said, it's madness. I'm never buying another copy. It's done. I don't know what come over me. He went out and bought another copy. Went out and bought another one for the PS4.
It was another impulse buy, and it was
Did
fine.
you buy impulse buy? You've bought it 3 times for the
I know,
console.
but it was fine
There's nothing
because
impulse about it.
I traded it. Like I traded the Switch version for the PS4 version. It didn't cost me any money. It's fine.
Hang on.
So you got rid of the Switch
I'm
one
done
now?
with this,
I did,
James.
yeah.
I
And
you
can't
bought
hear about
the
it ever again.
Yeah, I got rid of the Switch version, and I got the PS4 version.
But just
and
Why?
keep both copies, and then there'll be no more buying and selling.
I don't know what's going on,
You're
but
buying the
either way, it's fine. It's fine. I've been playing
It's not.
that.
No, James. It's
No.
very far away from being
Very
fine, isn't it?
wrong.
Look, I've got
It's fucking
absolutely
insane,
no
mate.
excuses for this. I don't know why it happened, but I'm quite happy with what I've got now, and probably
You
it
said
won't
that 4
change again,
copies
so
ago.
it's fine. Yeah,
James. Seriously, what made you trade it again?
I just wanted to play it on PS4 instead. I don't know why, David. I don't know why. I just wanted to play on PS4, so I did.
It'll be on EA
Tune in
Access soon
next
on
week.
Xbox, so you can trade it back in then.
Do you tune in next week to find out what format of FIFA 18 James has bought?
Yeah, I'm not
okay,
gonna buy that. But also, the other thing I played is Arms, because it was in the sale, and
How much was it?
it was like it was in the sale, still £40, but it was
Yeah,
still
yeah, that
but
sounds
it,
about right.
But it was in the sale. But actually, I kind of regret buying this. I know, John. I know you really like it, and probably I haven't spent enough time with it. It's just, I don't know. I don't really enjoy it very much. But maybe it's just 'cause I need to play it for longer. I mean, what is it? What can I do to try and get into this? Do you think?
For me, it was a pretty immediate thing. I just really kind of saw what it was offering to. Do you like fighting games?
I do, but only some. Like, there's not
Dead
that.
or Alive. That is it.
No, there's more than that. There's other ones I
Go on.
like as well, but I like Tekken. Yeah, that was good. And I
Okay.
used to like Street Fighter.
Yeah,
It
all right.
was,
Yeah. Okay, well then, it kind of it has some of the essence of those games, but it does a lot differently as well. It's like, true 3D fighting game in a way that very few fighting games actually are. Plus, just the way the game handles. I'm only ever playing on a controller. I'm not playing with the that are, things in your hands, what they call Joy-Cons. But for me, it was kind of an immediate thing. Like, even before the game came out, I was like, that's going to be my boy. I know I'm going to like that. And then when I played it, it becomes it's like mind games. That's what ARMS is. I play it ranked online. And it's just a game of mind games. Figuring out what your opponent's going to do, try and preempting it, much like your traditional fighting game. But there's also the added meta of you've got all the different arms you can try. So, one person's twin tail is very different to another person's twin tail. And the way the ranked games works, you keep meeting the same people. So, you can have battles over 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds. And you're sort of figuring them out, and it's weirdly, I did a video on this ages ago, but it has more in common to me with actual fighting than almost any other fighting game, including the UFC games. It's just the psychology of it, and it's extremely well made, but mainly as a one-on-one ranked online fighting game. I think it's marvellous, but
that's probably where I've gone wrong, because I've only played it online once, because I've just been playing against the computer.
Yeah, it's kind of shit against the computer.
Yeah, that'd be why. Okay, so I need to play some more.
Yeah,
online.
And hopefully, obviously, it's one of those ones when the player base isn't necessarily enormous, and then you want to play online, it's definitely got a community, but I hope it's not a situation where everybody's, already been playing it for 8 months or however long the game's been out. So
yeah, that's the problem. How many newcomers are coming to that game?
I've played it once so far online, and I could get game very easily. And also,
did you get battered?
I won like a couple of them, so I don't.
Oh, bloody hell!
I don't think it's I don't think it's quite like that. But I'm going to give it a more go though, because my son.
Give it a more go.
My son loves
give it a more go.
He's a big fan.
I'll give it a more go, I reckon. Yeah, okay. Well, is that all you've got on your list?
Yeah.
John, you've got quite a few down here. One that I'm really interested to hear about, Hellblade, because I've heard so much about it on Game of the Year shows and stuff.
Yeah, so I really meant to finish Hellblade before this episode of the podcast, so I must apologise that I still haven't on towards the very end. I think I've probably got about 45 minutes to go, maybe an hour. But PUBG, that happened, so that's why I haven't finished Hellblade. It's difficult to put yourself through an ordeal of a game like Hellblade when, there's that addictive crack sitting there. But, Hellblade...
So is this the sort of samurai Dark Souls thing?
No, that's Neo. So,
right, okay,
the Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice is the game for Ninja Theory, the game where it's like a sort of story-driven, bit of a combat action game, but mainly kind of a story-driven thing that basically... It's a story about a girl called Senua who's basically travelling into Valhalla in Norse mythology to sort of try and find her dead partner, boyfriend, whatever. But it's mainly a game about mental illness and her own psychosis as you're going through it. And at times it's this sort of exercise in incredible performance capture. I think they have access to Andy Serkis's stuff, because obviously he's been in their games before. And it's sort of an amazing central performance from somebody who's actually just the video editor on Ninja Theory, this woman, and they used her for test shoots, and she was so good she just ended up staying as the main character. So you basically, it's sort of a 4 or 5 hour experience, maybe a little bit longer, where you're moving kind of slowly through this really gorgeous environment. And when it's great, when it plays with sound and visuals, and it's really unsettling and at times extremely anxiety inducing, and you're trying to sort of, it's trying to demonstrate the mental health problems this woman's got, the sort of schizophrenia, the psychosis she's going through. It can be at times very, very powerful, and it's compounded by her central performance. A lot of the game, though, unfortunately, is these kind of quite tedious puzzles. In the Batman Arkham games, there's some of the Riddler puzzles where you'd have to line up bits of the environment to create a question mark. You'd have to look at it in certain ways. It's been in other games as well. A lot of Hellblade is asking you to do that, like, a lot. Basically, you'll get to a door, there'll be some runes on the door, and then you have to walk around this little bit of the environment. It's trying to line up, is that tree look like that weird and stuff like that. I'm not very good at stuff like that anyway. My brain doesn't work very well like that, and also it's pretty boring. So unfortunately, I think as a game, it ends up letting itself down by relying on a quite tedious central mechanic too much. There are other times where it's sort of combat against these like weird enemies with like sort of weird horses or goats, devil's heads, or I don't know. It's quite amazing looking enemies, and that's decent. You know, there's obviously the pedigree there from Ninja Theory and their background in creating combat action games. It's not as deep as your DMCs or anything along those lines, but it feels good and it doesn't outlast their welcome. There's a couple of really excellent boss fights, but it just relies on quite tedious puzzles, too much visually inventive puzzles, no doubt. But I kind of, towards where I am in the game now, it's both an ordeal and a little bit boring, which is not the best combination. I don't want to give my final thoughts on the game until I've finished. It may have a riotous and really tremendous last hour, which would raise the whole experience for me. But I think it's sort of an important game for a couple of reasons. It's, clearly done with a lot of care and attention to its subject matter, but also, they talked a long time about creating a game with AAA production values for a much lower budget. And making that game half the length that you would expect for that type of game. And apparently it's already in profit in the time that it's been out. So it's kind of an example that a studio can back themselves when they have that quality. There's no publishers involved here, and that they can go and take risks like that. And hopefully, if they told a great story about that in their marketing, and that has, I think, helped. Plus the game, itself, and plus the time of release, all that sort of stuff has helped them, obviously make the game a success. So I think it's important in that respect, and it'll be talked about in that respect. As a game, a little bit disappointed, especially considering their last major release was DMC, which I thought was incredible. But I'll plan to finish it for next week and give very brief final thoughts.
I've heard that game does amazing things in terms of sound as well.
Yes, the sound's incredible. I play with surround sound headphones, and it's constant, as she's walking through, she has her own voice basically whispering negative things about her and what's coming up in the world, and it's really like nothing else. It's very unsettling, very unsettling.
Here also, you don't. I think that game uses 3D audio, so you don't even need any pair of stereo headphones will give you this amazing.
I'm sure it would, yeah.
But I think it's binaural 3D audio sound. Yeah, it's it looks great.
Yeah, I mean, the production values of that studio generally, but also on this game specifically, really are quite amazing. But I'll get to the end of it and give my final thoughts next week. And then a couple more that I'll talk. Sorry, was someone going to speak then?
No, go for it.
Yeah, a couple more I'll talk about super briefly. A game called Brawl Out on the Switch. It's basically a platform fighting game. It's a Smash Brothers clone, basically.
Yeah, I saw this. I think I was offered a copy, but I was too busy to play it. So... should I have bothered? Or?
Basically, my boy just suddenly out of nowhere decided he wanted to play Smash Brothers. He hadn't played it for ages, and the Wii U was all kind of sort of packed up and discombobulated. And this was also during Christmas, where there's a million things everywhere. And I was like, I can't face trying to work out how to set the Wii U up. There's this game Brawl Out. I'll just get that. That'll be good. That'll do. And it has a lot of things going for it. I think. It is basically Smash Brothers, 4 characters on a stage. You're trying to get a percentage up of their health to damage them and kick them out of the arena. It's the same. It's mechanically the same, and it feels quite nice actually. The combat, and there's some combos to it, and the characters aren't particularly inspiring. Although it's got the guy from Guacamelee and the guy from Hyper Light Drifter in it, and then just a bunch of kind of shit Skylander looking characters. But the combat itself feels quite good. But on Switch, there's a major frame stuttering issue where it's the game will almost freeze. When you used to have a CD Walkman and you'd go running or something and it would just skip. You couldn't use it. The game does that at times, which is really bad. And they need to patch that. I'm amazed it got through cert like that because it actually genuinely affects your game. You suddenly appear somewhere else. Really bad. And this is offline. And this other baffling thing about it is it's an 18 quid game, but out of the box, as it were, only 3 of the maybe 10 stages are unlocked. And I'm like, okay, so I've got to play a bit to unlock them. It's just baffling. It's almost like Battlefront, but with no microtransactions. This madness progression system where you have to earn all these different currencies to be able to buy pinatas and open them for a chance to be able to unlock it. It's just we're going to have to play this for fucking hours and hours and hours and hours and hours just to not play on the 3 stages that are currently unlocked. I'm like, mate,
that's pretty bad.
There's no microtransactions either. I assume it's prepped for them in the future, but it's mate, I fucking dropped nearly 20 quid on this game. Just let me play on the stages. Fair enough, lock up a few, but give me more than 3. Give me more than 40% of the characters. It's really off-putting. Really off-putting. So it's annoying because the central mechanics are decent. Elliot was enjoying it, I was enjoying it, but it's just surrounded in a load of bullshit for no reason. Just at least in Battlefront, at least you think, okay, well, they're just trying to make some money out of it. Like, it's, that's not a good reason or a nice reason, but at least it's a reason. This doesn't even have a reason. But anyway, that's that.
That's just bizarre.
Yeah.
Maybe they just fucked the... Yeah, it's weird. People say that, maybe they just got it wrong with how many games that you need to play to unlock stuff, and you just kind of think, well, how? How have they done that? Surely they know how many games someone will need to play to
but you must
bizarre.
know that if you're in your fighting game, your platform character action fighting game, you need more than 3 stages. Out of the gate. So I was a bit disappointed by that. I regretted spending the money on that, to be honest.
It's funny that you should mention that. Was it Elliot turned around and said, "Oh, I want to play Smash Brothers out of nowhere"? Because Harry said the same about Super Mario 3D World.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously we've been playing a lot of Mario Odyssey, and he was just like, "Oh, can we play 3D World today?" And I'm like, "Well, no, I've sold it."
No,
so
yeah.
no, I sold the Wii U because it was just sitting there gathering dust. We've all said about how Nintendo really haven't got a lot to put out this year.
That we know of.
And that we know of. And that I can't see them doing 3D World this year because it's too close to Mario Odyssey. But I think probably next year we'll see 3D World make an appearance on the Switch. Because it'd be mad not to.
Yeah.
It came out on a console that no one really bought. It's a properly good Mario game. And it would really translate over to handheld. It would be incredible. And it's so weird because I must have put, over 100 hours into 3D World because, I played it on my own, played it through to the end. I didn't do all the bonus stages, but I played, that far. And then with Harry, I was playing like the opening stages over and over and over again. And I played through the main campaign again with him, just, in co-op, where I was basically just picking him up and dragging him around. But I'm watching him improve, and I remember listening to Chet and Johns back in the day, and you would talk about how Elliot suddenly picked up gaming, and no longer was he just sitting there, like, chucking Mario off the screen, off the edge, because he didn't really know what he was doing. He was suddenly playing it, and Harry's getting there. He knows how to do a few moves, so he just constantly does them. And he knows how to wall jump, and he knows that I sent a video to one of our other groups, WhatsApp groups, where he was walking across one of those swinging beams in New Donk City and really taking his time with it to make sure he got to the other side. And, it was that has all started happening now. And I'm thinking, actually, the great thing about 3D World was the co-op stuff. And if we're at a point now where he can actually play it, then I can see that being a huge success in that. And there's no reason why you can't play that game with a Joy-Con each either. I mean, we wouldn't need to.
No, but to be fair, by the time it comes out, if it comes out in like 18 more months, he's just going to be able to walk through most of it based on...
Which is fine, because he'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, that's still my most played game in this house in terms of hours played in the house, not necessarily by me, by a country mile. I mean, that was like every day for over a year, just... Yeah, Elliot's amazing at Mario. He's not that good at most other games. He can play them, but he's genuinely amazing at Mario. He's finished Odyssey 3 times. He can do like the ground pound, wall jump, hat jump thing. It's mental actually, but it's just because he's played so much of that of Mario.
We've really had the same thing like this Christmas. This is why Dave, we were talking about this over Messenger, like just how I still felt that Mario was kind of my game of the year still because of the amount of time that I spent with my son mostly. Like he's really became totally obsessed with it and he spent so many hours like playing it on his own as well because it's kind of clicked for him now as well. And even outside of playing the game, he's like playing with his Lego and like building the Odyssey and like he's built like Bowser's like ship and stuff like that out of Lego, and he's just it's really.
Does it look anything like Bowser's ship?
It does actually. It's not bad.
Does it?
I'll send you a
being the
picture
parent where you're like, hey, yeah, go on.
The Odyssey looks a bit rubbish, but the
I want to see the Odyssey.
It's just it looks awful, but But no, he's totally become like really, really obsessed with it, and he also I didn't play 3D World with him because when that came out, he was a bit too young to really get into it, but I think he'd really, really enjoy that. But it's I agree with you.
It'll come. I mean, look at the success of Mario Kart 8. It will come to Switch. I've got no doubt about that. And they'll want to stick Mario games on it, and they'd make a fuck ton because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that have never played it because they didn't have a Wii U or whatever, they sold the Wii U before it came out, or I don't know. I think it would be massively successful for them, and it's another Mario game on that system.
I'll definitely buy it, because I don't have a Wii U, but you guys are raving. And some other people I've heard recently, when talking about Odyssey, have also raved about this game. That,
You'd love it. You'd love it, Matt. Honestly, it's a fantastic game. So I'm hoping, what I'm getting to is that I'm hoping that Nintendo do release a lot of this stuff.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
there's so much stuff that needs to come out.
Got onto this because you want Smash Brothers to come out.
Yeah, Smash
exactly.
Brothers is another one. I'd love to. I had no interest in Smash Brothers when it came out on the Wii U, and I'm still. I enjoyed a couple of them, but I was never a huge fan of the series. But I know now that if I turn around to Harry and say, "There's a game where Yoshi can beat the shit out of Bowser. Do you want to play it?" Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
and we'd
he'll absolutely love it. All right, just one more from me then. Something I just played briefly today is, have you heard of Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy? Has anybody heard of that? I reckon Matt will have.
No.
Matt?
No, I've not.
Wow. Okay. Matt's not been keeping tabs on his influencers recently. I'm disappointed. Too much PUBG. This is a game that's kind of blown up on Twitch over Christmas and just beforehand. Do you know what QWOP is, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
So, this is the new game. Bennett Foddy is the creator of QWOP, the creator of Pole Riders, is it, on Sports Friends?
Oh shit! I didn't know it was the same guy.
Yeah, and a bunch of other like weird physics-based games. There's another one that sounds like QWOP, is about something else. Anyway, this guy is that Australian guy. And he's created this game where you basically play as a man who looks a little bit like Vladimir Putin, but is not supposed to be Vladimir Putin, sitting in a cooking pot, and he has to climb this weird mountain. And the only way he can do it is by using a hammer.
I have seen this. Yeah.
And it's basically you just like spin this hammer around and move it and manipulate it with the mouse. And it hooks onto little hooks in the world, and you have to sort of yank yourself up. And it's an absolutely maddening game because you keep falling down. I kept hearing about it. I'd seen a bit of it as well, and I kept hearing about it. And everybody talked about how you get to a certain point and then you fall down, and then these little soliloquies come up from Bennett Foddy himself, which is why it's called Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. He starts talking about how sometimes in life you get knocked down, you have to pick yourself back up, and this jazz music comes on. It's quite funny. But what nobody I noticed had talked about is like why it's so compelling to keep going back to it is the actual mechanics of hooking this hammer and working out and getting better at it. It's incredibly satisfying when you get into a flow with it and you grab it, and that's what keeps you coming back to it. I've probably only done about 25 minutes. I got really high and then I fell all the way back down, and I was like, I need to give this a break, but I'll keep going back to it. Maybe one day I'll get through it. But he's obviously, it reminds me of the physics of the poles in Pole Riders mixed with some other little stuff. Like it's just really a satisfying, incredibly satisfying central mechanic with this maddening game wrapped around it. It's funny, it's smart. It was only a $5. I can see why it's blown up on Twitch, just because it's got that, difficulty, tension, humor, all that sort of stuff that goes over well when players are watching it. And, just good. Apparently it's on phones as well. I'm not too sure how it would work on phones, but Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy is pretty damn cool. Like within 2 minutes, I was like, oh yeah, no, I get it now. Playing it, I get it totally.
Yeah, I didn't know it was on phones, but I'll definitely have a look if it's on. I thought it was just PC only, but.
Surely, do you think it would work on a phone, John?
Maybe. I'd be interested to see how the controls work, but I mean, who knows? But it's really fun, really daft, clever, well made. I like the fact
very addicting.
Very addicting. Right, that was it. That was my list. I played a couple of odds.
I don't know why I thought of this. I think it's just because I've heard many. James, have you heard of Doku Doku Literature Club?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, Doki Doki Literature Club.
But you don't know anything about it?
No.
I think maybe you should check that out.
Okay.
Just don't look it up. Don't do it. Just check it out, because I've kind of spoilt it because I've seen loads of streams of it and I know what it's all about now. And, it's one of these games that appears to be something, but it's not. But I wouldn't mind you checking that out, maybe even streaming it.
This looks right up my street, actually.
Exactly. Yeah. But don't read anything.
Okay.
Just that's it. You've looked it up. Just don't look at it now, because apparently it takes quite a few turns to it. It's not what it appears to be. So if you can get hold of that and talk about that in the coming weeks, that would be interesting. Because there's a few people saying that should be on the Game of the Year list, but obviously none of us had played it. I hadn't even heard about it until we did that show. So give it... I don't know why that popped into my head, but there you go. Right, okay, that's what we've been playing. You've caught up with our lives. I hope you're happy now. Let's get to your questions.
Right, I need to go for a slash. Give me 2 seconds, sorry. And then, yeah.
Cool. Okay then, questions. And basically, John texted me in the week and said, look, I'm joining the show. I want a job. And James went, questions. So there you go. You got your tweets and emails coming from
this. So
cool.
Your man Johnny D.
More than happy to be doing it. So yeah, kicking off with emails. If you want to email us, it's thecomputergameshow@gmail.com. Doing my due diligence there, Matt.
Brilliant.
Hope
No,
you're
you
proud.
nailed that, John.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Okay, kicking off, James Hill tells us a little story about how he managed to grab a Wii U and 12 of the best games for about $140 off his boss, about £100, and he thinks it's an absolute steal. It is with that amount of games. And he asks, he's curious as to find out what the best deal you guys have ever got on computer game stuff. For me, I can't remember. Sorry, I just can't.
But for me, easily, it was, I mean, I've mentioned this before, when I got Mass Effect 2 plus the DLC for £1.99 second hand. I mean, it was insane. It was less than a year after it came out as well. And everyone was going, you would love Mass Effect. What are you doing? Stop being a dick. So I went, okay, $1.99, I might as well give it a go. It had the pass in it, the DLC pass in it, which I assume had been used, but I put the code in and it hadn't. My word, it was one of my favourite games of all time. So there you go, for $1.99. Can't ask for anything better than that.
Nope.
James?
Mine was probably Dark Souls, which I think I bought for about $3.99.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
From Xbox.
But it is £3.25.
Dark Souls, under £4.
Yeah.
Good shout.
Bargain.
Yeah. I think I got it for about that as well. No, in fact, did I buy the disc?
Nobody cares.
No,
Nobody cares.
You're right. Sorry, I'm just doing it for my own brain, to be honest with you. Go on.
Right, SMW says there are rumours swirling on Twitter that Fable 4 is in the works and being developed by Playground Games of Forza Horizon fame, we talked about earlier, in fact. Firstly, would you guys be interested in a new Fable? And what do you think a Playground Fable would be like? Dave, what's your answer on this one?
Yes, I would absolutely be interested in it, because I think it's an interesting, unique world that hasn't really been picked up by anyone else since Fable died. What have we? Well, they're a great developer, aren't they? They know what they're doing. And okay, I've only really played their racing game. Have they only ever done racing games?
I believe so, but I also believe they're in Guildford, which is obviously would mean that chances are a lot of Lionhead people have ended up there. So it's probably
okay.
There could be a lot of crossover there.
You know, I'm just down the road from Guildford, so invite me up and I'll play it early and tell you if it's any good or not. But yeah, I mean, goddamn, I loved that world, and that was what shone for that game. You know, it wasn't the best playing game. It wasn't, you know, the story sometimes fell to pieces. But the world, I think, is something that someone can really make a good game out of. So I'd absolutely be interested. What would it be like? I hope they tidy up the game. You know, that I hope, because Peter Molyneux's not looming over it, that they have to keep going in different directions and it ends up being a shambles. A little bit of structure to it that seemed through to the end would, you know, I think the basic premise is there for an excellent game. I'd be really interested to see what direction they take it.
I've never played a
Fable
game before.
Oh,
they're really good fun.
What games have you played? Every time
deal.
I say what games have you played, but it's like every game you say I've never played one of those.
But I have played Forza Horizon.
The thing with the Fable game, especially for us, is that it's so British. Like, it was so British. I mean, you know, the opening to Fable 2 was like, it just spoke to me, because it was, you know, all British regional accents and dialogue, and a lot of the humour was in there.
But Dave, didn't you just find that annoying? Because I
No, I loved it.
Really?
I loved it because it wasn't something you regularly see in games, is it?
Yeah, for good reason.
I mean, usually the closest thing we got is Professor Layton, and that was so far away from being British. Is unreal.
James only likes the normal English accent.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The normal English accent of where he lives.
That's where Fable's set, isn't it? Right. Fable 4, all good. I'm not, or Fable, whatever it is. I'm not too fussed, but Playgrounds, they're a killer developer, so I'm always interested in what they might be up to.
Microsoft need an exclusive, so
That's true.
get it on there.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, and the games that they have tried to bring back have not exactly hit home, have they? So, I wouldn't mind them bringing this one back.
Speaking of Forza Horizon, the 4K patch drops on the 15th of Jan. I mean, that game looks gorgeous enough as it is anyway, so I can't wait to see what they've done for that.
Quick one, Matt, while we're here. Do you know when the Rocket League one's dropping?
Okay.
Sorry.
No.
Okay.
Because I know it obviously looks
is
amazing
this?
on PS4.
We shall now move on. Yep, we shall now move on.
How many times have you said no one cares, Dave?
Once. Just once.
And now you're dropping this
I said it
rubbish.
once. That's
sharing-
one all. That's one all in. That's one all. Right. Right. Oodles. First off, Happy New Year and obligatory congratulations to Denton on his promotion to assistant to the main one. I'm not sure about that title, but thank you very much.
Assistant to the main one.
He said, so just wanted to get out of the way and ask, it's quite a broad question, what are your expectations to the year in games? As in new trends and the next big thing, will we see more Battle Royale games and will we get the next Skate game? Anyways, looking forward to a positive year of TCGS drama and very much looking forward to the newest plot lines. My prediction, Matt cheats at E3 and watches the whole thing.
As if I'll do that. Come on. Think about it.
If he does it, we'll never find out because Matt will be committed
Yeah,
to covering his
I
tracks.
wouldn't do that because it would just ruin the show and ruin it for me. Surely the best bit of drama is if I will actually do it. So,
Oh, he just gave himself away. Freudian slip there.
no, but I'll not even cheat myself and the listeners, so not to do that.
When I do cheat.
when I don't cheat.
Yeah.
Skate will be a new Skate game will be announced this year.
And there'll be an Xbox exclusive.
EA will do everything they can now to get into the good bits.
Yes.
They got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and I mean they know that that's an in. Bringing Skate back, we'll get they won't pile money into it, but I think we'll get a sequel. We'll get a sequel to that. What do I think? I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it? I'm not massive. I was looking at the lineup of games, and it's not until March that anything comes out that I'm really excited for, which is Far Cry.
Monster Hunters
So
this month.
it's kind of a slow start.
Monster Hunters this month.
Oh yeah, yay! Sean's not here, mate. Sean's gone now. John's here. John, are you interested in Monster Hunter?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be great for a lot of people
John,
to enjoy it.
are you interested in Monster
I
Hunter?
wouldn't be playing it myself. I wouldn't have thought.
No, there we go.
But
then.
that's nothing on the game.
I know, but come on. Yeah, I don't know what's ahead of us. I'm really interested to see which way Sony move now, whether they are interested in sort of teasing a new console. I'm really interested to see what Nintendo do and how they try and, at least not match last year's success, but at least sort of keep us interested because, I mean, they've got Kirby and Yoshi that they've announced. No doubt they've got some other stuff lined up. I think the most interesting stuff that's going to come out for the Switch this year will be coming from the indie scene. There'll be a few indie bangers that will come out and it will come to Switch first.
There's loads of rumours about it being a direct this week, but nothing's been confirmed. But where's that even come from?
No.
Just the fact that people expect one in January.
James?
I don't know. It's just, people are expecting it's going to happen, but they really seem to have said nothing, so I don't know where that's come from.
Weird. And also Microsoft, who knows what they're going to do this year? They seem to be just chucking shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. So it'll be really interesting E3 from them. I think they've got their new console out. They know that the next step is making sure there are games on it to make people buy it. So yeah, the next year is going to be. Sea of Thieves, if that hits home, then I think that'll be a big draw for people.
Have you seen
they
that?
can't
Have you
just
seen that
rely
Sea
on
of
that.
Thieves controller that's been released?
Yeah,
It
looks
looks
incredible.
so nice.
I think it looks
it's
well
exclusive
nice.
DLC
Yeah.
as well, which is crazy.
I mean, it's extremely garish.
Yeah, but it
at the
does
same
look gorgeous,
time,
but it is like
really,
70
really
quid.
good looking. Yeah,
So I'm like, I'm not going to bother.
yeah, fuck that. Fuck that. John,
there will
any
be a million Battle Royale games at E3.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
So one loose prediction that I'm going to say is that I think in 2018, once again, a game's going to come out of nowhere that none of us old fuckers had even realised existed or were talking about, and be massive. I don't know what it's going to be. It'll be something that blows us on Steam, that everybody from the age of about 13 to 24 is playing and loving, much like Battlegrounds. And we'll find out about it later on.
I don't think something as big as Battlegrounds is going to happen. I mean, obviously
not
it's
as
possible,
big, not as big. No, that's
a phenomenon,
not as big
isn't
as
it?
that.
Yeah.
Just something big. It would be big. I'm not talking about. Yeah, I mean that's craziness, absolute craziness. But that's my prediction so far. All right, Oodles. That was Oodles already, wasn't it?
It was.
Okay, tweets. It's tweets time. If you want to tweet us,
Can they be your catchphrase?
oh, you know me. I love a catchphrase.
It's tweet
It sounds like
time.
a banging, dubstep behind that or something.
Yeah, if anybody is in audio and would like to do that, and please get on it. And if you need me to re-record It's Tweets Time, then just hit me up.
Just do a clean line of it. Go on.
Okay. It's Tweets Time. There we go. Thank you.
That wasn't
Thanks, guys.
good, but
No,
go
it
on.
wasn't as good, but I'm happy with it. I'm happy with either. They'll make it good.
Yeah. If Judge Jules is listening,
Is Fred Boy Slim listening?
I think that's.
If
I think that's a
if you
reason.
want to tweet us, it's at Computer Game Pod on Twitter. So basically, I'm going to delete this first one because it is about exactly what we were just talking about. Tame 2017 compared to 2018, but Lee the Knight much appreciate the tweet. So moving on, Rikaku Police.
Not a great start. Go on.
So that's the thing. This is what you got to get used to, John. Like, if you try and edit on the fly, he gets annoyed. It's
I could have just deleted and not said anything, but I wanted to give a bit of props to Lee the Knight for talking.
Right, last one now.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Last one.
Choose one.
I'm
Just
getting
choose
ruffled
one.
here.
Go on.
I'm getting ruffled here. Right, Rikaku Police. Dear Dr. Farley, who are your favourite and least favourite characters in Persona 5 and why?
Obviously, my favourite is Makoto for obvious reasons.
Obvious to
Sean.
who?
Well, she's fantastic. She's the way her character develops over the
She's
game.
fantastic, and that's the last word I thought you'd say.
Can we get a dubstep remix of James saying that as well, please?
She's fantastic. Combine them both. Combine them both. It's one hit record. Go on.
Yeah, she's great. And one I don't like is probably Ryuji, because obviously everyone hates him because he's terrible and the voice acting
Oh, he
is awful.
bloody is, isn't he?
So the one you like is
Ooh.
good because she's fantastic, and the one you
sick
don't
of
like
him.
is bad because he's terrible. Fucking the
Pretty much,
insight
yeah.
is just phenomenal.
It's like a 5-year-old explaining it. Good.
Well, he's
Yeah.
bad.
Well, Rikaku
but
Police, you
she's
got your
good.
answer there, so
Yeah,
you
there
can
you
think
go.
about that for the next couple of days.
Yeah, I imagine that's exactly the sort of level of insight I was expecting.
Next time you ask something of James, the bit at the end of a question you put "and why."
Yeah.
Just leave that bit off.
I will,
Just
yeah.
leave it
It's,
off. Completely pointless.
Yeah. Because the answer will be one's good and one's
Right,
bad.
Do you want a fuller answer to that?
No.
No.
Yes.
No. Athene Allen. Last night I dreamt up a Charlie Brooker written Dark Souls TV film. See attached thread. Go to check out Athene Allen for the attached thread. If you could have any game made into a short form TV show, what game would it be and who would write and direct? Wow, that's a difficult question. Matt?
Probably
And who
Nightwood.
would write direct?
No. Who would write that?
Oh, wow.
Ricky Gervais.
Why?
I don't know. No, I'll
Yeah, that's
I'll
a
come
tough
back with
question
a
off the top
question.
of the head, to be fair.
You wouldn't even know how it ended, Matt. Like, I don't know what. I mean,
Well, yeah, it'd be good. I'd be quite compelled to watch it, wouldn't I?
you just watch it on YouTube, it'd be fine. I don't know, Brothers,
Nah.
Tales of Two Sons, I think would make quite a good short story. Even though there was no speech in that, I thought it was, the actual world that they went through together was pretty cool. Who would direct it? Joseph Fares, obviously.
yeah.
Obviously, just directs everything. Screw you, Andy.
I'm surprised you haven't said something like Mass
No,
Effect.
that's not a short TV show.
No,
that was
short
part of
form
it, wasn't
TV
it?
show.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So basically, a TV show.
Mass Effect, would that be... I don't know if it'd work. Would it work? I guess so.
It would, because it's
just
already
Star Trek,
making
yeah.
it's like those stuff anyway. So
Yeah, it's already
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Yeah, has there been any TV shows about space?
I
I
don't
think it
think I've
has. So
TV
no,
show about space.
Trying to again. Has there ever been when they trek amongst the stars? Has there ever
Okay,
been?
mate. All right. Of course, Life is Strange would be another good shout. because I mean, I'd hate it. It's the stuff Joe watches on Netflix. That's what it is. But I don't know. I like that world. I wouldn't mind seeing that as a TV show. Wouldn't mind seeing
I'd like
it as a
to see
TV
a Metal
show.
Gear Solid one just to see the fucking carnage. I don't know who did direct it.
Oh, yeah.
Just,
God,
Kojima
backlash
can
on
do it if he
Twitter.
wants. Yeah.
Yeah, good boy. James, not Dead or Alive from you. Pick another one.
Come on, I've not. I couldn't even describe
Yakuza.
why I like two characters in Persona.
Yakuza.
Let alone- there's no way I can answer this. Oh yeah, go on, Yakuza.
Yeah.
That's a really good choice.
Sorry, James, you're thinking out loud then.
That's a really good choice.
I'll tell you what would be an amazing short form TV show, Rhyme. Not
That'd
even
be-
joking.
That'd be terrible.
Okay.
Dave.
What-
Is
what
there,
that
there's
is?
no dialogue, is there?
No,
There
that'd
is
be
no
great.
dialogue. No.
Yeah, sign me up.
Tetris.
Oh yeah, apart from that.
Tetris. I know that would be good. Tetris.
All right, moving
Next.
on. Naylor Ben, was
Co-op,
James satisfied?
No,
What?
no, I want
Matt,
co-op.
we're on the next one. A lot of questions specific
It's
for
annoying,
James.
isn't
there.
it? Isn't
It's
it, John?
fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Co-op.
Was
I
James
want co-op.
Naylor Ben? Was James satisfied with the end of Alex Hunter's story?
I'm only up
No,
to
I'm
chapter
not
4, so
finished it yet.
I'll have to
Yeah.
answer that later. Yeah.
What, amongst the 8 copies you bought, you
It's
still
not
only
there
up
on
to
the
chapter
Switch,
4?
is it? That's why I had to get back to it on the PlayStation.
Every time we get
It's,
to the
Yeah,
end
and
of
he
the
hasn't
season, he
owned
trades it
PlayStation.
in.
You've had 4 PS4
Yeah,
copies.
exactly. he plays one match.
There is
Transfer
no
window
way,
time.
I did just win the MLS trophy with Alex Hunter, so yeah.
Where have you been trading this in, James?
Where do you think? Game.
Yeah,
Game.
then you
So
must
the
have,
person behind
you
the
must
counter
be-
when you walk in, are they like, hey, he's back again?
Yeah, have you ever
I've
worked in
only
retail?
done this. No, because I've
it's
not
back
done
again.
it a
Because you
game
get
every
the
single
characters who come
time.
in a lot.
FIFA boys back.
They become part of your day when you work in retail. You're definitely one of
Yeah.
those characters now in
Joe,
game.
this is the only
Oh,
time
God,
that I've been there.
that
I went there
FIFA
twice
losers
over
back.
Christmas.
It's the
and
only
it's the only
time
time
I've been there. I went there twice.
Because the other times I did it off Amazon. It was different.
James, I just imagine a bloke behind there just going, back again, mate. Yep. Do you want me to get the Switch on
Already
out?
got it.
Yeah. It's all right. We haven't taken it out of the
Yeah.
bag you gave it to us.
All
in.
you got was there
Right,
for
it's- There you go. Just swap it back.
Still got a sticker on.
See you next week.
Right. Sergeant Stangros, how many times has FIFA 18 been bought and sold over the festive period by
We've
JCA
already-
Farley?
well, okay, once.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Matt G. Sanders, Twiglets or cheese balls?
Twiglets.
Cheese
Easy.
balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, Twiglets all day long. I don't know what
Cheese
cheese balls.
balls, I guess.
Cheese balls
Or
are
not
like
just
the crisp, like the
Spheres
crisp.
of cheese.
Yeah.
No, because
Twiglets.
cheese ball. No, the cheesy puff things are alright,
Yeah.
right? Because they're basically just a rolled up what's it.
Yeah.
But the cheese balls are the ones that that have the hard shell and the smooth cream cheese in the
Oh,
middle
are
of
they?
them. They're
I
disgusting.
ain't
They're
doing that.
foul.
Yeah, I'll do Twiglets
Still
over
Twiglets
there.
all day long.
Twiglets.
Yeah. Right.
ADL.
Busker Lily. Oh no, we're talking about Nintendo Direct. Yeah, you're right, James. My bad. Right, Stan Shaw, the question about ARMS. Don't you think it would be a great idea to bring back the test punch for the awesome ARMS Party Crash? I think it would sell a shitload more if folks tried. It's now back to never work for Rainbow Six Siege in it. So basically just a free weekend around the ARMS Party Crash, which are very similar to Splatoon's, what they call Splatfests. Do I think they should do more free weekends for ARMS? Yes, but I think we're almost at the point where anybody who's going to buy that game would have bought it by now, I think.
Yeah.
It's never going to have the same sort of appeal as a Rainbow Six or a Splatoon or, a shooter, basically, because it is a fighting game. But I think it's done quite
If
well.
they were going to do it, they should have done it a week over Christmas, like starting Christmas Day
Yeah.
and then in between Christmas and New Year for all the people that got their new Switches. Like, it would have been perfect, but they've already missed that.
They
boat.
might do it over Evo because it's in the Japanese Evo. It's one of the games there, but who knows? Right, the Nick Parton at Fine Excuses. That's confusing, so I didn't do that. Any of you lot played Tacoma, the new one from the makers of Gone Home? If so, is it bollocks or the bollocks? I've not.
I wanted to. I saw it. It looked really interesting. I heard very good things at launch, but not so very good things towards the end of last year. People sort of just mopping up old games and stuff. So the jury's out, and I really want to play it, but haven't got round to it. It hasn't been high up my list, I must admit.
Yeah, I'll get around to it
but
at
yeah.
some point, I'm sure, one day.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, what put me off were the visuals.
Yeah.
Like, it looked a bit too,
I feel like I've done a lot of empty space stations as well. I feel like I've done that. I played a game called Event Zero last year as well, which is good, but an empty space station game where you're interacting with an AI, and it's like, whew. But that's the reason I didn't play Edith Finch until a couple of weeks ago, because I felt like I'd done enough walking around the house games, and that was absolutely amazing. So, I'll give it a go at some point, maybe. I won't. Who knows? Anyone else?
No.
It looks fine, but not enough for me to jump out and get it. If I see
it
it
might
cheap,
end up
I'll
as a
pick it
freebie
up.
at some point. James Hughes at Hughes Jam, welcome to John. Thank you very much. When's the next Battleground stream? At some point, I guess. I don't think we're going to.
Probably next week sometime.
Yeah,
Right,
we'll try and get one out this week.
my old partner in crime, Chet Roivas. How long?
Oh, you're not reading these out, are you?
How long do you reckon it would take each of your mothers to get a legit? Fuck it, I fucked it now because you put me off, Dave. I was in a beautiful flow there.
Sorry.
Pick one of them.
Wow.
Come on.
All right, how long do you reckon it would take each of your mothers to get legit solo a chicken dinner on Battlegrounds? I reckon 6 months to 8 months.
I reckon never. My mum would never be able to do that.
In 8 months, if she played it every day and didn't do anything else.
Nope. No, she wouldn't. She wouldn't be able to do it, I'm telling you. 8 months of solidly playing it, she'd barely be able to understand what each stick does.
Well, if it's 7 hours a day for 8 months, I'm sure my mum
understand
probably
what
could.
the sticks do, Matt.
Let's get it organised.
Right. Okay. Obviously.
Can someone else answer, or are we all
I guess
just
you
going to
didn't like
sit in
those ones,
silence?
so we'll move on. Ben Adramade Bowers.
No, I reckon my mum will do it in 2 weeks.
Okay, great. Next.
Bloody hell, Dave, you're bloody strict on these, aren't you? Where's
It's
fun
horrible,
Dave
isn't it?
gone? Well,
It's
I mean,
what
I
it's like, John.
just to fucking ignore you. I'm just going to talk
How
to
am
the
I
others.
supposed to react to that, though, John? I think my mum would do it in 2 weeks. Okay, right. Okay, fine. Good on you. What did you want from me there?
Just a bit of fucking cheer, Dave. That's all.
Okay, try again.
No, Ben Adramade Bowers.
Try again. Try again, Matt. Try again. How long would your mum take to get a chicken dinner? About 2
Probably about 2
weeks.
weeks.
Oh, really? That quickly? That's great. What's the next question?
There you go. Wasn't hard, was it? Right.
No, it wasn't.
Ben Adramade Bowers. If the Switch and Zelda Breath of the Wild, this is Game of the Year stuff here. If the Switch and Zelda Breath of the Wild had launched on December 29th, 2016, does that mean it couldn't have been considered for Game of the Year? I mean, it couldn't, right?
Yes.
Because you'd already established
Yeah.
rules of cut-off times.
Yeah,
We're going to have to talk about that. It's not for now because this one's running late, but we've got to talk about, maybe we'll address that next week, what we're going to do about those games. But it had been pointed out that Matt actually lied to us about that as well, because Super Hot VR
No, it
didn't
wasn't
come
a lie.
out
It's just a...
after we'd recorded. It didn't come out after we recorded the 2016 Game of the Year show. It came out before then. So even by Matt's rules, it still wouldn't have counted.
I was just saying that to try and get it through.
I mean, that is just bollocks, isn't it? You've actively lied. Here's what I think. You had no idea. You had no idea that it had to go out, and you hadn't looked up when it was actually out. So you tried to wing it, and you
I
got
did,
called
but I
out,
forgot.
as everyone does on this fucking show, because this is what our listeners are like. They love...
I got called out multiple times last episode, but it's fine. This year I'm going to play those games that come out this year and only focus on
Luckily,
games
fuck
from
all
this
come
year.
out after we did our show this year, didn't it?
Well,
I was saying the only dodgy one is that we can't really do
Battlegrounds, come
PUBG
out
next
that
year
week, didn't
because
it?
the listeners tried to get it on the list, and so that's it. It's had its chance.
when it came out last year.
And that's gone, and it came out last year. No, yeah, that's fair.
Right, a couple for me to finish things off. Alex79 UK. Hi, John. What's your favourite sitcom of all time? I saw this question earlier, had a little think, and it's The Office. Also, do you like onion? I don't know if that means something or if it's a reference. I like onions. Yeah, I cook them quite a lot. I don't know.
There's a
Who
group
doesn't
of
like
mates
onions?
somewhere cracking up
Yeah.
because it means something else to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
But that's
He
fine.
said he likes
Brilliant.
onions.
And your boy Darren Gargett at Desmond. Hi John, what's your favourite computer game? The easy answer for me is Street Fighter 2. And that's it.
Still,
Yeah, because it's the easy answer, isn't it? Otherwise it'd be here all day. And we definitely don't want to be doing that. Alright, that's it.
No.
So yeah,
We've
thanks
all
very
had
much
enough.
for your
We've all
tweets.
had
Dave
enough.
tried to sabotage it with a little bit of James sabotage in there, but I kind of powered through, so happy to be here. Happy to do it.
wait, hold on. What was that? Is it just you reviewing the question section?
The tweets is a dialogue between me and the audience now, and you guys are involved.
Is
You're
that
along
it?
for the ride. Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'm happy with that. It works. Right. Matt, do you want to do all the social media stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we're on Twitter, at Computer Game Pod on Twitter, of course. We are also on Twitch, where we're hopefully we're doing a PUBG stream or two. I'm obviously doing my Dark Souls Sundays every Sunday at 9. So go over to Twitch, search us over there. And the final versions of those streams, or the full versions, anything else we do, obviously also the ending of James's Beyond Two Souls stream is all up on our YouTube channel. Just search for the Computer Game Show up on YouTube. And we'd love your reviews on iTunes. So if you haven't already, think about leaving us a 5-star review and some nice or
Also,
horrible
if you've
comments.
got Amazon Prime and you haven't already subscribed to a Twitch channel, can you just whack a little sub on ours, because it doesn't cost you a penny and it helps us. Well, it doesn't help us out; it just gives us money.
Yeah, and if you have done that and it may have elapsed, it doesn't inform you or notify you. So if you did it like a month or two ago, think about doing it again.
Do that. We've got the
That'd be
taste
nice.
for it now. We just want money. Thanks for living it. We'll see you next week. It's good to be back for 2018, and yes, welcome to the show, John.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Bye.
Laters.
No, but it is. Bye.